Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. However you happen to be watching and or listening to this, I want to welcome you to the latest episode of the Gaming Circle podcast. The podcast where right off the top, there's some mea culpaing to be done here. But before we do, let me first and foremost, of course, introduce my brother from another mother. The man who's been holding it down since I have been taking my eye off the ball, Mr. Everborn Saga. Good morning, sir. How are you this morning?
I'm well. I'm just waking up to see that the Game Awards has done a poll for Player's Choice, and Sonic, last time I checked, seemed to be at the top. Sonic also happened to be on Amazon's list of Black Friday sellers above Ragnarok in several categories, but we'll, whatever.
So are we saying that this is the type of show we're going to have this morning? Okay, understood, sir. Understood.
I'm just saying. You wanted me to back out last week because you knew it was coming, and
we're still on that train, sir.
I mean, technically, I've won already, but we'll wait till the end of the year.
What? You've won already?
If we're going by Amazon's list,
no, we're not. Remember, you said until Christmas. We will wait till Christmas and we will tally the numbers at that time, sir. See, I was gonna give the man some rope, and now he's already fighting.
And Ragnarok is being bundled with PS5s, which I find
which is a Travis Shamocracy, but still, that's how they get what they get. They get what they get. But
sure.
Welcome everybody. I see a few good folks in the chat already. Welcome, sir. Welcome. Thank you guys so much for checking us out. Right off the top, I must let the folks know it's been a week for me, right? A bit of a week. So
wait, before you tell everyone that, I want to shout out to Jerry, Matt, Easy to Go, and Tay Talks for being in the chat early.
For always being here, always representing. Thank you, gentlemen. We appreciate you guys.
What does Jerry Mack say? You ain't got shit to do.
You know what I'm saying? Come on. that man should be given commercials to do. That thing is amazing. Every time I hear it, it lifts my spirit.
We should hire him to do promo drops for the show.
Do promo drops. We hey, that's a thing. And I see TZ the Goat in there. We still have some conversations to do. And actually, it's to tease you and other few folks that I've been wanting to have a quick chat with that will understand why I've been a little out of pocket. Since I returned from my vacation, I came back with the dreaded one. You know what I'm talking about? The T virus. Yes, it came. It affected me and mine. And because of that, we've been a little bit under the weather. But it's not the worst thing in the world. I'm actually talking to you today. Had I not been feeling good, I would not have done this show. And I was raring to go. I was just out of pocket because the week has been a little difficult for me to keep track on. If you have what I have, if you've had what I have now, energy levels are low and whatnot. So it's been a little difficult. But today I'm good. And believe it or not, unlike others, I've been playing a bunch of games. Well, not a bunch of games, but I've been playing games, which people say it's difficult. It's difficult to do. But I've been actually been able to do that in between consciousness so from time to time. So just in case you wonder why we're not on cam, why you haven't seen so much from us, it's because I've had some life things happen, and as such it's been a little bit difficult for me.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not on cam because I need a haircut, as you can see.
Bro, we all need
this whole thing is crazy.
I'm not even going to show you mine. Forget about it. It's a wrap. It's just absolutely ridiculous. But as you can see on your screen, and we'll get into it. So again, if the show's a little shorter, if we might not be as concise as we usually are, it's because frankly I've been out of pocket for a couple of days, and I'm raring to jump back in. So I appreciate everybody who continues to support, and we'll keep it moving. The show must go on, and we will start this show as we of course always do. Shortly, we'll get into it. And I have a feeling that because I've been out of pocket as I have been, we'll be having a more game-centric show because I've been playing some games, and Everborn, I'm pretty sure you have as well. But let me quickly just from the top.
The Gaming Circle podcast are actually talking about
games, right? What a concept. Hey, it's funny you mentioned we might actually veer off the beaten path as we do, because yes, there's still a lot of others to talk about, other things out there. But I will let us drive the conversation as we get to. But from jump, let's just quickly have a quick chat about some games we've been playing. For me, I've been playing a lot of old school things. I put it on Twitter as when you don't feel good and you feel a little bit under the weather and whatnot, you end up seeking out your old favorites, seeking out games that make you feel good, that remind you of the good old times or whatever. And in doing so, I've been playing a lot of OG Xbox games that now find themselves working extra well on the Steam Deck through emulation. I posted up that I was playing the Hulk game. I don't know if you've ever played that, Everborn, from OG Xbox, I think 2001, 2002, somewhere like that. Like,
yes, I did.
Yeah.
And the fact that Team Green
Yep.
hasn't secured a deal to do a Hulk game that's kind of their own.
It's fascinating, right? It's surprising as heck.
It's a layup, and they just
and you know, I bring this up because that game now went from a slideshow a couple months ago to being like, I wouldn't say playable, I'd say beyond playable. I mean, like, it is pleasurable to play on the Steam Deck, like in the OG fashion, the way it is now. I mean, and I keep throwing emulators at it now.
Let me ask you a
games
question.
At it. Yes,
right?
Sir.
Like, because I don't think the Avengers game did the Hulk a lot of justice. Like, he wasn't bad in there, but he wasn't anything to kind of write.
He was just another player rather than the character that he should have
right been. Yeah. So is there, because people will say, okay, play Anthem and you have a template for an Iron Man game, right? Is there any game that has captured like a template they could use that could capture what a Hulk game should be?
Believe it or not, that is why I bring this game up. I feel like this is a game that solved the Hulk game, and forgive me, I don't have footage. That's still a problem with Steam Deck. It's not easily able to capture unless you have an external source, which I refuse. I'm a bit of a stubborn cat. I refuse to get that while I have game consoles that should be able to do it. But that's neither here nor there.
There's so much of the Sonic Lost Worlds that I've been wanting to capture,
but you know,
on there. It's a thing. They got to work on that.
They got to work on it 100%. But needless to say, I will say, and it's funny you bring up like what template is there that can be used. I would say much like Wolverine's that Wolverine game, the Raven Wolverine game that I also kept bringing up. This game seems to have have figured out the formula early on. They just didn't have the graphics technology to really push it at that time. So now with the graphics technology where it is and the game formula still holding up today, I feel like it would be worth a remake of sorts. Not exactly like beat for beat.
There's no modern game
because they haven't tried that. Remember, like back in those days, they were all just like fodder. They were all licensed fodder, which, 80% of them were trash, and then 1 or 2% came out pretty good. And the Hulk game was unusually good in its execution, even though, like I said, at the time, graphic fidelity really wasn't there. And even in that, I think it ended up working in their favor because graphic fidelity really wasn't there. It seems like they opted for a cell shaded look, kind of, that still holds up today. Like, so it's really nice.
In the chat, and shout out to Live Supremacy and Inferno Games.
Welcome.
They're saying that you should do a Hulk in what was promised originally. For the Crackdown game, where it's all about powered by the cloud, all about destruction.
Yes. There you go. Yeah, that'd be a brilliant execution of it. Absolutely. A Crackdown style world. Instead of you being the police that polices the world, the police chase you when you go too far, that kind of thing. It is really good. Yeah. And I don't know if you guys have played that OG Hulk game.
If you could balance destruction with saving people from the destruction, I think it'd be a good way to. And obviously, we're super oversimplifying this because it's easier said than done. It's just I think it's super hard to do a Superman game. Like that would be good.
Yes.
I think the Hulk, much like the movies, are turning out to be these days. Very difficult
not to crack.
Although I don't think Disney wants to crack the Hulk.
I think Disney enjoys putting dirt on his name because they don't own him. So it is what it is.
Didn't stop him from Namor. Apparently, they don't own Namor.
True.
They did him justice.
But see, they didn't even call him Namor. Well, okay, and I don't know that because I still have not seen this movie.
Oh well, all right. I won't go into that, but.
Because
remember, to say,
I'm choosing not to infect humans around me. Instead, I'm being the good boy and staying indoors.
People didn't do that to you. That's why you are.
I know. You know. What are you gonna do?
Tis what it is.
But yes, so if y'all have not checked out that old school Hulk game, you should actually play that. Much like the Wolverine game I was talking about a couple months ago, it too seems to be an artifact of its time, but actually might warrant a remake of some kind, because it doesn't need too much more than a graphic fidelity update and possibly some modern controls. They have the storyline down. They have the moment to moment of how the Hulk should be down. It was really cool. Really, really cool. I did enjoy it. And not to be outdone, I will say, like you're saying, they didn't give the Hulk storyline enough attention. But even in the new Avengers game, I like almost every character that they've presented and how they've presented them, the Hulk included. So, all they need to do is put a good storyline to it.
I just feel like the Hulk was fine, but not. I don't know.
It wasn't special, but the Hulk as a character has we haven't even gotten to a level where he has let me speak.
Okay.
Even the Hulk as a character, we have not gotten to a place where we can even find the floor, which is like approachable. He's been a joke in most things, right? Way before Universal and all them got their hands on them, obviously Marvel was doing better with that, obviously, because it was a different situation. But
Ed Norton Hulk movie was good.
Yes.
And Hulk was the Hulk in the first Avengers, and then it was kind of
messed up. Yes.
From there were ups and downs, because I did like him in Ragnarok, even though that wasn't like Hulk, but it
it was still worthy.
It was interesting, right?
Yeah, it was still worthy.
I don't want to get into another Hulk rant. I won't.
I get you.
But Live Supremacy, I keep hearing that Disney got the rights to Hulk back. I don't know that that's true, because we haven't
seen any. Yeah, we haven't.
I want an official announcement or confirmation, or from a reputable Hollywood reporter or something like that. I've heard rumors, but I haven't heard anything official from Disney or anything from a reputable Hollywood reporter. So if you have that, please send it to us.
Yeah, let us know. We would definitely want to check that out. Yeah, absolutely. I know a Hulk fan who'll be totally excited to hear that, because that would finally mean maybe he starts getting respect that he should be getting instead of getting
that's
spat
also
on
not guaranteed with the way that Disney's been going these days. But
Bob
Iger's back. So
I was about to say, the world is a different world than we knew. But you know what? Before we head down on the real path, let's continue with some games that we've been playing. Let me reset this gameplay footage, because I need your opinion, good sir, and then we'll of course get into the games that you've been playing, because I know that's an interesting conversation. I am now playing. This is a 10-hour trial, and I don't know if anybody else has tried this yet. If you haven't, and you're a Game Pass subscriber, I think Ultimate at least, you have 10 hours of this. This would be Need for Speed Unbound. Have you given any attention to this thing?
Not even 5 seconds, but I have heard a lot of people say good things about it. Is that
true? I have to say,
slept on.
I have to say, although you and I are from a different school of hip hop, right? Remember when they used to make games and they took hip hop seriously?
Okay.
Way back in the day and I'm not only talking about the fight for New York.
Sounds super like you're about to have a senior moment and complain.
Yes.
About
no.
Getting off your lawn.
You were wrong.
And old man screams at clouds.
You are wrong. You are wrong, sir. You're actually very wrong about this. I was about to say, remember when they used to take hip hop seriously? Even in the Nintendo days, they'd throw a couple characters in, and those of us who knew would be happy, right? And then in the PlayStation days, they would throw, they had the fighting games and this and that. And I was sad to see that hip hop had passed gaming. Or yes, they presented the narrative, the gaming scores and stuff still have some elements of hip hop in it, but they hadn't taken hip hop seriously in games like they used to. And even though Unbound is clearly for a new gen of hip hop, right? They may not necessarily speak to the old school cats. This is taking hip hop seriously in gaming again. And I have to say, I love it. It's really cool.
Yeah, but I mean, I have to hear it, but like,
yes,
I don't think hip
it's
hop
not.
is taking
No.
hip hop seriously these
But
days.
hear me. I don't mean that. Oh, the music is great in the game again. I don't mean that. Oh, that's not necessarily what I'm speaking to. What I'm speaking to is if you are a new school cat in hip hop today and you love what you see and you enjoy what is out there, this might be for you because they're taking today's generation seriously in this game with the ASAP Rocky cameo. And it's not just a cameo, it's dripping with hip hop style, like a lot. And it's not dripping with the old school style like it used to, where you had all the, and we can do the get off my lawn stuff if you want, but I'm actually really like excited for this because it's not for me because I'm of the old school hip hop persuasion, so some of the new school stuff makes me go yawn, but they're taking it seriously for that new school consumer, and they're taking it seriously. They're really going all the way with it, even if it's not like a cameo by this actor or that rapper left and right. The music, the visuals on display, the way that, and you see me in the video, by the way, you see me spending way more time in the character creator than I usually do because they did a pretty darn good job there. I know that I was having a back and forth chat with Slow-Mo a little while ago, and shout out to him. I'm not sure if he's here today yet or not, but we were having a quick chat about, hey, even the hair and stuff like that. Yeah, they what cell shaded it so they can kind of get away with a little bit of artistic style.
More games should do cell shading. It just holds up way longer.
It holds up. I just said that about the Hulk. It really does. I was playing the Hulk. I was playing Jet Set Radio Future, another cell shaded game. They still look brilliant today. And in this game here, you can tell if they went more realistic with it, you would have problems with the way the hair falls. You would have problems with the way certain things look, because then once again, they're not doing enough of work for Black people. But because it's in cell shaded and it's kind of stylized, it works. And it works really well. Go ahead.
This is completely unrelated, but we're talking about hip hop and old man get off my lawn. I almost feel like a nomad these days when it comes to hip hop because I almost not. There's still things that I like, but I almost don't like any of the new stuff I hear because most of these people can't rap.
You see,
and then
this is why you are my brother from another mother, man.
but when I go back and listen to the foundational stuff that I grew up, the hip hop in the 90s stuff, like this is stuff that I just listened to for hundreds and thousands of hours. When I was coming up in the Bronx, whatever.
Yeah.
But as a family man with a wife and kids and daughters and a son, I feel a different way about this stuff when I hear things about murdering and sleeping with girls and all of that.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like
you bring your mature brain to that old school stuff that you used to listen to.
So the stuff that I thought was hard when I was coming up is like, I don't want to hear that shit. You got kids, right? And then the new stuff, they can't rap, and it's just like there's a few.
What you're basically saying. If I'm hearing you right, what you're basically saying is you used to be all in on the hardcore stuff, but now Talib speaks more to you than he used to. Maybe Black Thought speaks more to you now than he used to, right?
Yes,
exactly. I'm the same way. Same way.
So it's it's weird, right? Because there's still artists doing the old school style of East Coast New York rap. But they don't speak to me anymore, even though on a technical level they're actually rapping and it's good. But it's like I don't want to hear this drug talk. I don't want to hear this club talk, right? So it's I don't know.
We've aged out of the subject matter.
I guess so.
That is very true. No, bro, that is a conversation. That's a left-leaning conversation that will take us on a different path. And I think I completely agree with you.
I could really mess your head up, right? Because the stuff that we came up on the 90s and came up on from the 90s is like these are young black men who are idolizing white gangsters or Italian gangsters, right?
Yep.
Right, and it's just, and every one of them, right? Yeah, Frank White, all of the Scorsese movies and all of that. Which, by the way, is hilarious that Scorsese snubs his nose up at fan-made films for superheroes when most of what you made is like fantasy gangster movies. But that's neither here nor there. What I'm saying is, it's just weird to see the people that we idolize coming up styling themselves after, you know, Italian mafia guys who didn't even like them.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
But
absolutely,
that, again,
it makes
those
those guys from that time who did that thing feel a little stupid, did it not? You look at it now and you're just like, you just played right into their hands, didn't you?
Right. There's, you know, and you if you like, my era of hip hop is the 90s, but like you still come up on the stuff from the 80s.
From the 80s,
you know that there was a
smattering
shift,
of 80s, mainly 90s. Yes.
Right. There was absolutely a shift between Queen Latifah, De La Soul, and
then, my God,
you know,
I find myself listening to more Queen Latifah these days than I
right.
used to.
But and again, Cool G Rap is one of the GOATs, one of my favorites.
Right, we gotta stop this, otherwise we're gonna turn into
no. I understand. I'm just saying, like, that era of drug rap, which again is my era, is what made me fall in love with hip hop. When you go back and listen to it, like, you know. So shout out to
another OG in here, Mr. Pixelbit G. He's vibing with us. He knows what we're talking about.
You brought up hip hop.
Oh no, I did. And this and just for the purpose, if you are anyone who enjoyed that fusion of hip hop in gaming, I think you should make use of your 10-hour trial here. You may not buy it, right? And this is for a specific Venn diagram of folks who loved your dub edition back in the day, you know, Midnight Club, you know, another game that racing game that really kind of harkened onto that racing hip hop scene. You know, this Need for Speed Unbound seems to really be going, look, we've left you guys like sitting there for a while, consumer who enjoyed this. And now, yeah, you guys may be old, but you have children who like it. You know, we're gonna like appropriately modernize the hip hop elements for your kids, but we're hoping that you, parent, remember how you used to feel back in the day when you used to play these kind of games, and you might also be interested in it.
Nostalgia is a hell of a drug.
It really is. It really is. And the music they use, again, may not necessarily be for your consumption because it's for the new school cat, but the way they implement it, the way that they're putting everything together, you know, the style that's on display, it is commendable. There's a lot of cheesy dialogue. Like, let's be clear. There's some huge cheese, like hardcore cheese, to the point where you're just like, oh my God, I'm about to throw up in my mouth. But the game is fun. It really is. The game is super fun. I see
Inferno says he can't find
the trial. So, and I see Mr. Boomstick is also in here. Welcome, sir. Welcome. I appreciate you being here. Games, Mr. Inferno. What you need to do is, if you are a Game Pass member, you don't even need to go find the trial. Just go into the game store. You can even do it on PC or console, and just like as a part of the when you go to buy it, there is an option for play trial with EA Play. Literally, you hit that, and then it'll start downloading. It'll tell you have 10 hours, like between PC and console. And I've even put it on the Steam Deck. I have about 10 hours that I've been spreading between them. It is a fun game. I know Mr. Boomstick also downloaded it. He bought it day one. I'm not sure if he's put any time into it yet or not. I've been talking to Mav from Speculation. Shout out to him and his crew. He's just like me, the dub edition guys. We love those old school racers that had that interesting like culture influenced into it. And I honestly think this game.
I want to know what Fuzzy Belvedere thinks about this.
Yes,
he's the racing guy. By the way, last thing on that hip hop topic. Yes, listen to King's Disease 3 from Nas. just came out.
Yes,
very good album.
Yes. Well, but you know, when you say that, obviously it's a very good album. He's still one of the old school cats who's out there still doing it, right?
I know.
It's funny to me. I looked at my Spotify playlist and I play, I used to be a DJ, so I play lots of different music. When you say what kind of music do you like, I actually have country music in my playlist. So
I
like
picture you as a dubstep DJ.
No, I actually played a lot of music, hip hop, R&B, a whole bunch of stuff. Lived in Europe, so you have to play lots of different kinds of things. Believe it or not, until I saw it in my wrap up, which every year Spotify will wrap it up for you, tell you what you played is most artists you played. Believe it or not, I was stunned to find out that in 2022 I played Busta Rhymes more than anything else.
Oh,
odd, very odd. But
all right, let's move on because this.
Let us move on. Yes. Let's move on. So as far as just the standard gaming is concerned, I will say like this, the Need for Speed Unbound, really great game, has a very cool storyline, cool story elements. It is dripping with swagger, dripping with style, hilarious, goofy, made to make you cringe dialogue, but the style is there. I just started not too long ago. Again, I said I started that free trial. I will most likely continue playing this game. I will most likely purchase it because it's just really fun and it harkens back to that old school racer. For the person who said, I thought somebody was in the chat. Yes, Ray Old, you said that Forza Horizon has spoiled it for you. Yes, and that's another reason I think this game is successful. It's not trying to do the Forza Horizon thing because Forza Horizon beats all things in that genre. It's leaning heavily on something else. It's leaning more on the Fast and the Furious or racers, leaning more on the police chasing you, on the music and the style and the swagger and the people who you're racing against. It's focused more on that drama than it is the moment-to-moment racing, because the moment-to-moment racing of this game is very much in the arcade vein, and it doesn't beat Forza. It still doesn't, right? So they don't try to. They just try to throw some really fun, interesting elements in the mix. They try to throw some anime-inspired, cool art style in the mix. And as you see on the screen, the cell shading really works for me. The actors, the voices, it does work. It's cheesy, but it seems to be on purpose. So if you haven't played it, I say give it a shot. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I really do enjoy it. Hey, Mr. Everborn Saga. Yes, sir.
Is Boom on Chatter Days today?
Oh, is Boom on Chatter Days today? I did not know this.
I thought I saw something like that.
Interesting.
Boom, confirm that for us.
Please, please confirm that for us.
So
yeah, I was going to ask you, Mr. Everborn Saga. I know you've been playing some things here and there. How about before we move on to some news talk, hit me with what you got going on.
All right. So I've actually been doing a lot of gaming this week, believe it or not. So we know that I finished Game of the Year contender Sonic Frontiers just last week. Mm-hmm. So I've been trying to move on to sort of pick another game. Now, I bought God of War Ragnarok on day one, even though I knew I wasn't going to play it because of Sonic. But my son wanted to play it, and he had just finished God of War 2018 for the first time like a month ago. So he was like super excited. So I bought it. I have not started Ragnarok yet, but I've gone into Plague's Tale
and real quick, I apologize. I don't mean to cut you. Yes, absolute confirmed. In 2 hours, Mr. Boom 6XL will be with Miles Dompierre on Saturdays. That's freaking awesome. I have something to watch in the next couple of hours. Good stuff. That's awesome. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Continue.
So, but before I got into Plague's Tale, I tried Somerville, right? Because I heard. So this was my plan. I said I heard Somerville is short, like a 6-hour campaign, something like that. So I can go play Somerville, and then on Friday, when Callisto comes out, I can just switch to that, beat that for the week. And I start playing Somerville, and it's not good. Right?
Explain it's not good, please. Give me a bit of details.
So
again, I have been out of pocket. That is on my list. It's in the list to be played. I haven't actually hit play on it yet, so this is all fresh to me. Go ahead.
So, and part of this is because based on the trailers, I thought there would be more action than there was, but it's very like this fusion
And me continuing the tradition of cutting you off, I apologize. Real quick, Need for Speed Unbound, awesome ray tracing on Xbox. Really, really cool. Continue. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Unlike Callisto Protocol, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
Let's keep
going. But so I'm playing Somerville, and again, I didn't expect it to be as point and click as it was, right? But maybe that's what Inside is, and I've never played Inside.
No, Inside is not point and click at all. It is.
So again, this is definitely not an intense platformer, right? Like, it's like you have to interact with things in the environment to get past and move forward. So it's not like actual point and click like a Myst or a 12 minutes, because there's more action than that. But I really thought that this was going to be like an action platformer using, supernatural powers and things like that. And I'm early in the game, but I couldn't bring myself to continue with it, because when you do those first set of puzzles, they literally don't tell you anything. And the environment is not designed to where you know what you can interact with. So you're kind of just pressing the action button next to everything. And it's really weird and annoying. And some things that you think are the background are not the background. Or some things that you think you can interact with, you can't. And some things that you can interact with are not highlighted and just feel like the background. And it served to be more frustrating than it was intriguing. And the puzzles they're not like puzzles that make you think, right? They're puzzles where you're like, let me test what the UI is, right? Let me test what is interactable and what's not. And to me, that doesn't make me feel like I accomplished anything or I'm smart because I figured out that this that this cabinet can be moved where that one can't, and there's no visual discernibility between the two of them, right? Yeah. It's that kind of thing. And it's just like, I don't know, man. It leans very heavily on atmosphere, but even that isn't enough to kind of make you put up with some of the stuff that they do.
It's interesting that you bring this up, sir. Very interesting, because like when I heard that the developer of Inside had split, and now there's Jump Ship as well as the other studio making a game, I was like, oh man, is this going to be a situation? Because it's one of two things that can happen here, right? It's either a situation where you have, they literally jump ship, and then have two great games come out, or they jump ship and you realize why they needed to be together. And it seems like the latter has happened here. Yeah. Everyone seems to suggest that, yeah, they were the first half of the greatness of Inside, but they were missing the moment to moment, and possibly the studio that the team they left behind. They needed them.
I'm not sure if it was Cog that said this on the show that he does with Last Stand Media, but someone said, I think it was Cog. Okay. Where it was saying it seems like the people that left were the QA people.
Yeah.
because it's like these are things where you have a good premise on your hands. The atmosphere is cool, but some of the design decisions where you just questionable. Did you actually play the game you made?
Yeah.
Right? Like it's just weird.
It still looks like it's dripping with style though, which means those were definitely the ones that infused Inside and Limbo with the style they had. So those are the folks that are definitely in Jump Ship. The question is, what will the other studio that's left behind now, because they're also still building a game. They're also building a very big puzzle game that, if I'm not mistaken, we've already seen an announcement for. It makes me now go, will that other game play great but not look so good?
Yeah.
Whereas the other one looks great, didn't play so well, unfortunately.
And then they have a dog that's with you. That's basically their function is to kind of get you to look where they want you to. But even then,
like
when you
organic kind of storytelling,
right,
following kind of thing. Yeah. Okay.
But when you do that, you'll go where the dog is, and you're just literally pressing the interact button to see what works. And I don't think that that's good game design, at least not for me.
Yeah.
Right. Like
it seems a little bit phoned in, you think?
Yeah. Now, I don't know. I don't know. Because the thing is, and I know this about having made several games, shipped a couple of them, made a lot more than I shipped. But
hey man, it's all good. You're doing it.
Like when you are working on something for too long and you know where everything is, the level and I think this is also a problem with Tunic, the level of intuitiveness can be lost to you because you made it. So you're like, obviously I'm supposed to go here.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna do that.
They needed more fresh eyes to keep iterating and showing them where those potential pitfalls may lie. And it looks like they didn't do that, right?
Right. And so you end up building something that challenges you, who knows where everything is, versus something that would intuitively challenge the player who does not know how the sausage is made.
And of course, he shows up and puts it as succinctly as possible. Welcome, Mr. Slow-Mo Backslap. He says it's a trash game design. It is what it is.
It's not good.
What are you gonna do?
It's not. So anyway.
Well,
so
before you continue, let me real quick shout out to the man Infinite Umbra. I saw him reaching new heights. He was on, wasn't he on what do you call
RDX?
Dealer Gaming's RDX? The man who started his podcasting career on this small show is reaching for them gaming stars, boy. We salute you, good sir.
No, was on.
Of course not. But every time he's on, I feel like a proud papa. I saw him on there and I was like, yo, this is amazing. This is great. So shout out to you, good sir. I hope you're doing well. And we always love seeing you taking the message to the people. It's all good, man. Good for you. So yes, please continue. What else you got going?
Speaking of Umbra, because we all met on Spaces, I think I've been cured of my Spaces addiction. If anybody's in these spaces, you notice you haven't seen me in there. I just haven't had time recently, but like I think I'm over it. I don't know if that's good or bad.
What happened? What happened? What changed it?
We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Topics. Okay. I'm experiencing some social media burnout, and I think it's affecting attention span and creativity. But we'll talk about that later. Anyway, so because I got so frustrated with Somerville, I was kind of waiting for Callisto Protocol. I said, well, listen, I've got the whole week, because this was Monday where I tried to play Somerville and it just didn't work out for me. So I've been into Plague's Tale Requiem recently. So, and the reason I didn't start Plague's Tale Requiem sooner is because I was trying to finish what's the name of this? Deathloop, which is.
Did you actually ever finish Deathloop or no?
I'm right at the end. It's that last challenge where you have to get the wolf guy to unveil himself, and it's super unfair because it's at the party and like they keep noticing you. So once I've done that, I've done all my recon work to go and start the day over.
Finally do the final kill them all situation. I get you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're close. Record that.
So here's the thing. If usually when I'm playing a game, I share some clips from it.
Yeah.
But I only press the record button on a clip when I think something cool happened.
Yeah.
And I find myself playing the entire game of Deathloop. Right. And I don't feel like I've had any moments where I was like, I should record that. Yeah. And that's a problem. I don't know how this game rated so high. But anyway, we're not talking about Deathloop.
You know why it rated so high, because it's a really and we can move forward. But remember, when you came at me on this show and you said, "Hey, I don't think I like this game," what did I say? I said the game itself is done no favors by people thinking it's a first-person shooter. It's in the wrong packaging. Because once you understand what it is, and you're far enough that you get it now, it is a people puzzle. right? It's just it is just not a great first-person shooter, and it shouldn't have been a first-person shooter because then people look at it and try to judge it in first-person shooterness.
Have to lock on to people to shoot them.
Yes, right? Because it's not about the gunplay.
Super weird.
You know, it's not about the gunplay. It's not that's not why you're supposed to be there. That's not why the developer wanted you there to shoot moment to moment. That's not what it's there for. And that's the reason why they're easily able to give you a shortcut to make that shooting easier or more fun.
But this is the thing. It's so weird. Like the game is fine.
Yeah.
Right?
And slow-mo is absolutely right. It's their fault for marketing it that way. Absolutely.
But hold on a minute. The game is all right. It's fine. I think it's fine if it gets like an 80 or whatever.
I think it's a pretty good game once you understand what it is.
Here's the thing. It's not game of the year quality.
Well,
it's not.
So
it should not have been nominated for game of the year.
I will hear you, and I will agree with you on that. But I think, to Slow-Mo's point, he said the way they marketed it, I think that's why it got as much hype as it did, because it looked like an FPS, it played like an FPS, and then it blew reviewers away when, no, this is not a simple FPS. And actually, as an FPS, it's not that good. But when you see what it is under the covers, your mind is blown because, oh my God, it's far more than that. I think that's what like got people going, oh wow, this is far more prestige than it deserves, than we thought it was initially, right? And for those who came in thinking it was an FPS, they were disappointed. And those who were giving it short shrift for being FPS were impressed because they found out it was far more.
I think it should have been a third-person game. But anyway,
I agree with you. I think it should have been a third-person game, and the emphasis should not have been on the shooty bang bang because it's not that great.
Yeah. So anyway, I moved over to A Plague's Tale because I needed something to do during the week, and I didn't feel ready to. I got to be in the right frame of mind to start Ragnarok, and I will. It's there. It's
we'll
waiting.
Talk about that real quick because I'm with you, but continue. Yes.
I also, by the way, on Black Friday, I bought Forbidden West because it was a crazy sale. It was like $30-$40 or something like that.
You bought Forbidden West for $30.
After all of that we went through.
So are you sure the PlayStation won't find that you bought it for $30 and then something?
No, because I bought the PlayStation 5 version specifically, sir.
Sure,
but get me.
But the PlayStation 5 version for cheaper may have a little bug in it that goes, yeah, this dude got a.
Listen, I don't put it past them. Anyway, but I haven't started that yet either. Okay. I feel like I'm really neglecting the the PlayStation.
You know.
This is typical bot activity, right?
Oh boy!
But I got to be in the right frame of mind and be ready to experience that Ragnarok story. So I will, just not like right now because if I start it now, these other games are just not going to get played. So anyway, Plague's Tale Requiem. Now I've been on record. We had a lengthy discussion about how I really enjoyed the story for the first Plague's Tale.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
But the combat left a lot to be desired.
Yeah.
So in the first one, here was my issue, right? Like you're playing the game and I didn't feel like I had a sense of urgency because that you have a lot of these canned animations. And if someone gets close to you, it's just like you're dead, even though you have enough time to dodge out of the way, right?
Yep.
And I feel like they actually solved that problem because you can counter by like taking somebody's knees out. It doesn't kill him though, at least not yet, right? Unless you have a knife. And they added this thing where you can get a knife, but you leave the knife in people's chests. And I'm like, why would you do that? Why would the knife be disposable?
I stabbed you, I can
take it out of you. I just stabbed you twice. Yeah, and now it's gone.
It's weird, right? Like you can literally take down anything, any monster of any epic size with enough rocks. But you have a knife, and that thing is useless.
No, there's so I do feel like they answered that part of it.
No, I know they did.
They haven't.
It still stretches credulity a little bit.
But again, and there's a scene that got me so pissed off. This is in chapter 3, I think, where you are trying to get the nightshade and come back if you've gotten that far or whatever. And so you're in this warehouse where the nightshade is stored, and she literally walks up to a crate of weapons and is like, "Oh, there's swords and knives here." but where's my sling? And I'm like, you son of a, it's right there. So, and what I want from Plague's Tale is Amicia, who is, don't tell me she's, a 16-year-old. She is a stone cold killer. And that is what the game is about. Yes. And I'm going to come to that story aspect of it because I think they do something in this game that that kind of highlights what they tried to mention for 2 minutes in the Tomb Raider reboot, where she has a breakdown like, oh my God, I'm killing people for the first time, and then turns into a serial killer in the next scene and is just headshotting people with guns and arrows.
Just murking fools left and right with reckless abandon. Yes, absolutely.
But this one focuses on what it is doing to her as a young, used to be innocent girl who now sees all of this, death and dark world and is like, I hate everybody and everything.
Can't these kids catch a break? Like, come on now. Like, can't these kids, the first time, and no spoiler talk, none at all. The first time these kids kind of fell into unfortunate circumstances, that was not of their doing. That was not really of like, it just kind of, you could see how it could happen, right? But this time, right at the beginning, when they fall right back into it, I'm just like, come the F on. Like, this is just a stretch. Even this is too much. How could like, in this world, if this is how things happen, there'd be no more children left. Like, every child would fall.
It's very like kind of grim, dark Song of Ice and Fire. What I mean? Like, nobody's good. This won't be good for anybody.
Nobody. Like,
dark
how
world.
how do humans survive to become adults in this world? Because every child is just ready to get murked at any moment. Like, what's going on?
No, but I appreciate the storytelling is top notch. But I just want to talk about the gameplay for 1 second, then I'll come to the story because I don't want to spoil the story too much. This is why I'm focusing more on the gameplay. So the combat is better. I do feel a lot more agency, and they have mixed up the animations more. You're literally running people over, which I find hilarious.
I know.
But like, it seems like you're targeting them. But anyway,
I was playing this through Steam Deck, but I was emulating it. Steam Deck, but streaming. So the controls were a little bit off. So when I turn right, it's not very particular. It goes way too far. So it goes way on the
we'll talk about that later when we get to the Activision merger stuff, because Microsoft actually brought up a really super interesting point about COD and how no, they were just talking about using COD for advantages in the cloud when literally no one that plays COD would want to play on cloud because of latency.
Yeah, because of the weird latency. Yes.
Right? So you can't use it to bolster anything if it's like the worst game for cloud.
Because if you give that to people, all of a sudden they'll go, get the hell out of here. We don't want to play this on cloud.
Exactly. And Activision has noted that. But anyway, back to Plague Tale. So it's a focus on the fact of what killing all these people in this dark world does to Amicia, and I like that they're doing that. And she's vicious now, and it's not like we need to do this to survive.
Is she though?
What chapter are you up to?
I honestly, I couldn't tell you. Be honest with you, I couldn't tell you because I rolled off of that game, and I will get back to it. But like, I need to be in that what do you call it? In that stealth mode. The reason why I say is she though is because, like you were saying before, they didn't give her enough tools in the first one, and it looks like they've given her more tools here. But still, at the end of the day, it still seems like you're very much on rails. You're very much guarded as to how far you can go. If they need you to kill this dude with a rock, you still got to kill the dude with the rock. And it still looks very unrealistic in doing so. I'm just kind of like,
no. So, and to that point, right? You can tell like the game is beautiful because what you can do in it is limited, right?
Yeah.
It's very linear. You're only really playing this for the story, and a lot of things that feel intuitive that you should be able to do. Well, I'll answer Slow-Mo's question in a minute. Things that feel like should be intuitive to do, you just can't do them, and it gets frustrating. And if you've played the original and then you play this, you know that Amicia now has combat skills, so why can't she do or won't she do these basics?
It makes this one more frustrating than the first, because in the first one they really kept pushing hey, she's just a little girl, hey, they're just little kids, And as more harrowing as the situations got, and they kept emphasizing they're just a little girl with their slingshot and their rock, it just kept stretching credulity more and more and more. And you were just, by the end, for me anyway, I was like, come on, guys. Now they've gone way out on a limb on that, right? And it's still the same. She's just a little girl. I'm just like, get the heck out of here with the she's just a little girl.
No. I feel like, as far as I'm into it, she's actually growing up, and she, like, I shared a scene where she was just like, "F that, I'm the wolf now."
Yeah, true,
right?
True.
And then your friend is with you, like, "Yo, let's go." Yeah. And then she kind of starts laughing about killing these people because she's losing it. So I think that part is good, but you can't tell me.
I get that from the story. I just don't get that from the toolkit and the moment.
Yes, that's what I'm getting to. So you can't tell me like she has now become like this real fighter who is a problem for them and killing a bunch of people, but she can't take up a sword or a knife.
She can't pick up a sword. She'll bypass the sword in favor of a slingshot and a rock.
Leave
like, get
knives
out of here with
in
that.
people's chests. I can't.
It's ridiculous.
I understand it's a gameplay mechanic to make it not be as easy, but come on. Yes. And this is how the game is able to look as good as it does on being such a small team, because the variety is less. So I'm really playing this game specifically to experience the story, because I do think the story is more engaging than the first one. And the combat is better, but it's only slightly better, so that makes it more frustrating.
Absolutely.
Because like you accepted it in the first one, but now the second one, you're like, come on, man.
Yeah, and the first
you got
one,
that flight sim money now. You could be doing some.
Absolutely. You're so 100% correct. It looked like in the first one, the story was so compelling, and the moment to moment gameplay was serviceable for that story, but the story was so good that you just kind of foregone the idea that, oh well, it's a small team. It's almost like what they did with what do you call it? Senua's Sacrifice.
Now that you bring that up, here's something I want to say. I hope that this is not a precursor for Hellblade 2.
Oh, bro, I really think it is. I really think it is. And so we all have these high hopes, and there's this visual fidelity stuff. We don't.
Hold on a minute. Let me say it. So a lot of people have high hopes for Hellblade 2 to be some comparable to Ragnarok. Just COG just one. But they are still a small team, and they have been growing exponentially. But is Hellblade 2 going to be a slight upgrade in terms of combat, but super high upgrade in terms of visual fidelity?
It is the canary in the coal mine, sir. I really
know.
I knew this was happening. I had the feeling. People keep putting so much on it, and small ideas.
Well, hold on. Let's not fearmonger. We're not saying that's going to happen.
No.
I'm saying I hope that it doesn't happen.
Absolutely. Let me be clear, okay? And where I'm coming from with this is Crackdown 3. They turned a small, interesting idea, right, which had a spark, right? And instead of working on it and making it more than its spark, they put a lot of marketing into it. And they say, oh, it's going to be big, just like they're doing with all these others. And the more and more I see that happening, and Crackdown 3 is just my example. I'm not saying that everybody should take that as gospel, but that's the example that every time I hearken to in my head when I do that.
Highlight Pixel's latest chat.
He's saying, let's not forget that the Ninja Theory, made Heavenly Sword. No, 100%. And I actually played Heavenly Sword not too long ago, as well as a Journey to the West. Both great games of their time. Both really, really far beyond combat systems that they actually seem to have pulled back on a little bit for their later iterations, their later games. So with the Ninja Theory example, I completely agree with you. But I'm just saying, in general, these games that people have been really they've seen a spark about, right? This is not Uncharted 1 to 2, right? It seemed like Uncharted, when you look at the Uncharted example, it looked like they wanted to do more, but they didn't have the resources and or the experience to do that much with it at the time. So you saw the spark, but you didn't really see it get to full fruition until the second one.
You haven't played the second one. The first Uncharted.
which I will again
and I
say
didn't like
is a
it.
trap.
That's why I didn't play the second.
Bro, part 2 is the reason for PlayStation's success in general. It is a triumph on so many levels. You should have played part 2. Anyway,
but okay.
Well,
but
let me make a quick point. Because 1 led to 2 in the Uncharted example, where they kind of got to meet its full to take it to its full fruition. It looks to me that people are now expecting the same thing in the Ninja Theory example, in like the Plague Tale 2 Requiem example.
We hold on a minute. I want to be very clear about this.
Sure.
Hellblade 2, like Microsoft purchased Ninja Theory in 2018.
Yep.
Hellblade 2 may not come out until 2024.
Yep,
its
absolutely.
entire development has been done under Microsoft.
Yeah. But that has nothing to do with this.
Hold on a minute. Microsoft has positioned this game when they launched the console. This is what they showed you, right? In terms of what the console could do. They have expanded the studio. They've been doing vid docs. They've been pointing out all this motion capture tech that they're doing. They're showing it at the Game Awards. It cannot be.
I hear you. They are building the hype. They are building the hype that this game has.
I don't have any reason to believe that it should not be that. Right.
Well, but this is the point I'm trying to make to you. They are building, and you are right. They are building the hype that this thing has gone from a AA indie experience to now that look at us. We've given them more resources, given them more overhead. They can now reach the full height of that game that you expect. That's what they're saying, right? So you are going into it with certain expectations. They did the same thing with Crackdown 3. And that was a mistake.
I don't.
Yes, they did.
Hold on a minute. I think it's unfair to give this Crackdown 3
Sure. Please expound. Because obviously context is in the background, and the context of Crackdown 3 eventually became very bad because obviously the technology they were using were sold, and they chose not to create their own, and basically it turned Crackdown into what it was. It is what it is, and I still to this day contend that game was pretty awesome, really fun game. It was done dirty by its marketing. That's what I think it is. What I'm saying is that in this experience, in what you're describing now with the first Plague Tale and Requiem, there is a fear that it may turn out to be, look, Ninja Theory wants to button up that combat style. They want to button up that story. They know what they're trying to create. And we may assume that, they have now Microsoft money, so this thing can go from AA potential to AAA banger. Maybe that's not what they're there for.
No, that is what they're there for, though, right? That's
what the marketing says. But that's what really
they are saying as well. So here's the thing: what I'm bringing all that up to say that the jump from Hellblade 1 to Hellblade 2 cannot be a Plague Tale Innocence to a Plague Tale's Requiem.
Yes,
it needs to
be. It needs to be more.
Needs to be exponential, and if it is not. I'm not making any.
There'll be righteous smoke there. Yes,
for them, and I don't think that it will be. And I'm saying this to say that Plague Tale 1 to Plague Tale 2 is still a small team punching above their weight, right?
Sure.
So that's Plague Tale. Hellblade is going to be a small team that has now had the benefit and the time and resources to jump from AA to AAA. And let's say after Activision Asobo ever does come to be a first party, that's what I would expect for a Plague Tale 3, for it to make that jump. And I hear you, brother. Again, they're not owned by Microsoft. They don't have all those resources. So I get it, but I'm just saying Plague Tale, I'm enjoying it a lot. It has intrigued me to the point that I haven't jumped over to Callisto Protocol, which we will talk about next, but I'm really enjoying what they're doing with the story. I wish they did a little bit more with the combat, but right now, Plague Tale 2 is living and dying on the story because the combat still leads.
Well, that's the thing. I honestly think that was a feature, not a bug. They were there to tell a story, and they know they're telling the story to gamers. So yeah, we'll give you the moment to moment to keep you moving, but you're there for the story. right? That's why
Yeah,
you're there.
but there's not like
Although I agree with you that they could
Melee.
have done both.
Like, yes. I'm just asking for Melee.
They could have done both, yes, and they should have done both, because there have been instances where both gripping storytelling and moment-to-moment gameplay can exist. And it seems that in both examples here that we're describing, you get one or the other, not both. And I'm afraid that in the example of Senua, it may very well be again where the story becomes even more compelling, the graphics become even more compelling, and the moment to moment gets just a little bit better.
That better not be the case.
Which is what happened with Plague Tale. Am I wrong?
Just better not be the case.
I have a feeling it might be, but yes, continue.
So again, and I don't want to seem like I'm crapping on Plague Tale, because Asobo is a small independent team.
And Asobo, by all accounts, is a powerhouse team with what they can do.
I am loving the game so far, insofar as where it's taken the world that they're realizing. It really feels like medieval Europe, like hardcore.
Come on, Pixel. Every once in a while, you got to get some slander from me. Come
on. But you know, I my complaints are still there from the first one. Now, Crackdown was the game that I decided not to buy yesterday, and I was fully planning on getting this day one. And
you mean Callisto?
Sorry, yeah, Callisto
Protocol. Yeah. Continue. Yes.
So fully planning on getting it day one, and I didn't care about the reviews. As a Sonic fan, you know,
and you know what? Before you continue,
a 70 score doesn't.
Before you continue, let me put a quick stop here real quick and say, yes, we are still talking about the games we're playing, but we're going to transition into the news. And real quick, because you're talking Callisto, and I knew we were going to talk Callisto, let me put up the reviews here. Let me put up real quick here. Let me put up some of the stuff that's been talked about, because that's a very interesting topic that I want to bring up. So yes, and those who are watching, thank you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I know this week has been a little dry from me. I'm usually promoting, letting folks know it's out there. I've been a little under the weather, as I'm sure you guys have heard at the beginning of this show. You know, the T virus was a scourge in my household, but we're getting past it. So forgive me for not letting you folks know ahead of time. Please hit that button, the like button, if you haven't done so already. Consider subscribing. If you haven't subscribed already, we thank you guys so much for the continued support. But let's transition into some more of the news, games, and whatnot. And I know for sure that you are all about this Callisto Protocol. I will tell you from jump, and shout out to the Iron Lords every time I use their mannerisms. I must give them the proper credit due them. Fraud alert on me. I was never planning on playing this game. As I was saying to Mr. Everborn Saga in the DMs before we even started the show, I have never really been a scary game person. I'm a more scary movie person, but not a scary game person. I have made some exceptions, and the most recent exceptions that I've made have been the Resident Evil series from a few years. And I was literally completely cured of my scary game playing affliction when I played Resident Evil 7 in VR. I will never play another one of those games ever again. Man, baby, here, forgive me. Tell me, Everborn Saga, what is your thoughts on this?
But you do like horror movies.
I love horror movies, right? And we had this conversation. You know, you can enjoy horror movies because horror movies are things that just kind of happen while you're there. And if you watch them, you do. If you close your eyes, it comes and it goes. Whereas horror games do not move until you move them. Right. Especially in a game where your agency, you don't feel a sense of power, which is what video games tend to give you, a sense of power. And scary games tend to take all that power away from you.
Well, let me speak on that for a second.
Yeah. So go ahead. Yeah.
I feel like with survival horror, it's like you're either going to be into them or not. And the reason for that, people like you can like horror movies, again, because they're passive. It moves on. There's a sense of dread. There's jump scares. But you'll effectively get to the end of it in 90 minutes to 2 hours, right? But with a survival horror game, if it's survival horror, it is designed to keep you in a tense state, right? And video games, a lot of them, the most fun ones, are the ones that make you feel a sense of power, whether it's a stealth game and you're stalking, or whether it is just an action game and you are on the offensive, survival horror usually keeps you in a defensive state, and the fear of death goes away after you kind of die on a certain scene over and over again.
Yeah,
it loses its magic. Turns into frustration.
Yep.
Right. So unless your state of you like to be in a tense state versus that evolving into frustration, survival horror is just not going to be for you. And so I always see people that are like really into them or just not at all. And I think Dead Space maybe balanced it a little bit better with kind of giving you a sense of power with also, still having the jump scare. So let's
quickly talk about Callisto. Yeah, and real quick, no spoilers here, folks, because I haven't played. I've literally seen the entries, a few minutes of the first mission, and I don't know how far in you've played, but there will be no spoilers here.
Well, we're just going to talk. We can't spoil it because my whole story for this one is that I decided not to buy it.
Not to buy it. Okay. So there will be no spoilers, folks. So don't worry about that. We're just going to talk, around the idea, but continue. Yes.
So with Callisto, oh, by the way, Slow-Mo, they put out the PC patch this morning. So you can stop crying.
Stop.
So the thing is, there are a lot of reported performance issues with the game, but I do want to start. Like, it didn't rate high; it rated in the 70s, and again, we live in this binary society where you're either 10 or you're a 0, right? But the 70 does not. A game getting a 70-something does not bother me. I just want to. Shinobi pointed this out on Twitter of games that got scored in the 70s. Wolfenstein 79, Jedi Fallen Order 79, Prey 79, Quantum Break 77, Evil Within 75, Dying Light 74, Mad Max 73.
It seems 71. We live in a world where the 80 and 90, 100 meta games, well, very few 100, but the games that are over 80 are now becoming the floor, when for a long time in these annals of gaming back in the day, high 70s.
Sonic Frontiers 77, even though it's one of the best games this year. But that's neither here nor there.
Every time you say that, you ruin your argument, sir.
Okay.
Continue.
All right. So the point is, this 70-something score does not scare me, right? It's not like, oh, the Metacritic came out, it's 70, just mid, I'm not going to play. That's not why I didn't play.
Hold on. I Mills here saying, me and you only spoil Xbox exclusives.
Wow. What did we spoil?
I don't know. Please elaborate. I don't know what I spoiled. That's weird. But continue, sir.
He's like, you spoiled the original Splinter Cell.
Which technically wasn't an Xbox exclusive because it could only run on that hardware for a while and then eventually showed up everywhere.
All right. So okay, I see you, TZ.
Oh, come on, man. You to go for a reason. Don't sully yourself. Don't sully yourself with this back and forth Sonic talk.
So again, I was not worried about the score, but then I started hearing about these performance issues.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And like the red flag went off when you heard 150 Sony employees went over to help them out with the game. And surprisingly or coincidentally, it performs the best on the PlayStation, even over people with PCs running 3080s, 3090s, and things like that, right?
Yeah.
And you watch the Digital Foundry, and they'll tell you that there are things that are broken in the game. Now, the Xbox did get a day one patch, but by
the way, for those listening, it got a 76 on PlayStation, which is bad enough, and a 73 on Xbox, which is like, ouch.
Well, that is because
and of course it's reviewed. 47 critics reviewed it on the 76. That's where you get the 76 from. and only 18 people reviewed it on Xbox, whereas
yes,
the 73 people, meaning less hands in the pot means more.
But the reviewers on Xbox are more high caliber, so they have higher standards. Now, anyway,
sure, sure, okay. You want to go down that hill? That's your hill to go.
So anyway, but like the PlayStation has a more stable frame rate, and it also has working ray traced shadows and reflections, where the Xbox only has ray traced shadows.
Yeah,
right. So it seems that and again, Sony has the marketing deal, and then they sent over the Sony ninjas to go and make sure it looks right on their box. I don't expect them to make it look right on the Xbox box. Like Xbox should have sent their own devs.
Should have sent their own ninjas. That's right.
They should have sent Jason Ronald over there with the ninjas.
He should have been there with his top hat and his long beard, like open the door.
Right.
Have some work to do.
Like get this right. Or if you want to play the cynical route, Sony has the marketing deal, so they send their developers over there, and they say, make sure this looks good on our stuff, but not good on the other stuff.
Oh, here we go.
I don't know.
See, ladies and gentlemen, do you think that every time he chooses to either sneak in or officially announce a tinfoil hat, we should have like a tinfoil hat animation that just covers the whole screen so you guys understand?
I agree. I think that you should. So
we need to do that. Continue,
right?
Sir. Go ahead.
So you have PCs that clearly have way more power than the Xbox and PlayStation combined, not running it as well as the PlayStation. True. And it makes you wonder if the PlayStation dudes didn't go over there and sabotage the other ones. I don't know.
Stop.
That was ridiculous. A joke. But
ridiculous.
The point is, Xbox should have, if they could have, they should have sent devs over there to make sure that their box is shining,
well represented.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Because it seems to be, and Pixel, I saw you in that chat back and forth with Gaz, right? And I do agree with you, Pixel. Everybody ignores all the times when the Xbox outperforms the PlayStation in these comparisons, but every time the PlayStation outshines the Xbox, it's like 5-alarm fire. Oh my God, right? So I get that.
You know what though, and please, I have been.
There are more instances where the Xbox outperforms the PlayStation.
This is the thing.
In these head-to-head comparisons.
I have been a cursory glance outsider on these conversations because obviously I have not been part of this conversation. But the reason why it surprises me when that happens is when you have a quick example. When you have a flight of stairs and one goes to 10 and one goes to 4, when the one that goes to 4 gets you to 10, you get surprised. When the one that's supposed to get there doesn't, then it's surprising. It has nothing to do with, Sony's box versus PlayStation's box versus Xbox's box. On paper, one outperforms the other every time because the hardware matters. So when that hardware still proves that the opposite becomes true, then eyebrows raise, because then it's like, either some hardware wasn't correctly used, development decisions were made that changed the equation. There's always a reason. There's always an asterisk as to why the less performant box is doing better than the more performant box. That's the only meaning.
But again, this comes down to developers and the tools they have experience
and decisions they make. That's right.
So again, I think it is incumbent on Microsoft to send out ninjas like Sony.
Sure.
Did.
100%. I agree.
Sony we have the marketing rights for this. We see you're having some development issue. We're going to send out help to you. And Microsoft should say, listen, we see that in certain cases, the PlayStation's outperforming us, even though on paper they have less hardware. Let me send out my ninjas to make sure this high-profile game. And
that, you and I 100% agree. And unfortunately, Pixel, in a perfect world, I agree with you that they shouldn't have to send anyone. It should just be, hey, this is what this glass jar can hold X amount of gallons of water versus the other. We'll do our best with each. But that's not the world we live in, right? PlayStation makes sure that you represent their hardware to the best of its ability, even if you don't want to. They bring ninjas at your door, knock on your door.
These
Xbox
devs
should be doing the same.
Just because Microsoft moved from the XDK to the GDK or vice versa. I can't remember which one it's called now.
XDK to GDK.
Yeah. So, this is a new tool set, whereas Sony's tool set is kind of advancing whatever the industry already knows. So there is that factor. And if you've worked in software development, and I know this, Pixel, that 9 times out of 10, developers will lean back on what they know versus what could be done better. Right.
That's the reason why
if you've ever met a Java developer, you know this, right?
That's and even for gamers, look at the same profile. Pick your favorite console generation. Look at the same game released at the beginning of the gen to the same kind of game released at the end of the gen. When they know more, they use more, they do more. Until they do, they just lean on what they know. And that's a big reason why Series S gets short shrift a lot, because a lot of the stuff that makes it shine, devs don't tend to use, and they don't tend to know more.
At work, we have a lot of applications that we create that could just be so much faster and simpler if we used Python. But they're like, yeah, but the team only has Java experience, so we're going to make a whole Java Spring application, right? And again,
so Doreen Gray,
Pixel, I know you know this.
Doreen Gray brings up a very interesting point that I think we should tackle just for a little bit. They asked, so why are they ignoring the elephant in the room, PC?
We're not ignoring it. We said Sony sabotaged it.
No, but I think we're at a very interesting time, and there's a lot more to the PC conversation than it was before. Because back in the day, PC was the middle of the road. You developed for it, you ported to left and right, which is console here, console there. With console and PC joining the fray, becoming more of an x86 game anyway, now they differentiate themselves with different features. And PlayStation is still the market leader. Like, if you want one platform where everyone's focused on one thing, you're looking at PlayStation, because Xbox split focused, right? PC and Xbox. PC profiles everywhere. So still the one market that gives you that old school feel of you buy my game, you buy my console, I play your games, is still PlayStation. So I feel, and there are very good developers and software managers in this room that will please correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like that is the reason why it is in PlayStation's best interest to send out their ninjas as much as possible, because you can build everything x86 and keep it moving, and you are now able to do that because the hardware is so similar. But that's why you need those who know the experience of that specific hardware to come and put it over the edge. And PlayStation smartly is doing that now, right? PC has no representative. You can just throw a PC game out there. If enough people on Steam scream, then you get smacked and then you fix it. PC doesn't have a representative. Xbox does have a representative, but they tend to be very kumbaya, and eventually the narrative overshadows them, and then either you correct it because you did something wrong. Only PlayStation, to their credit, to this very day, only PlayStation still in the background is like, nah, this is not good enough. Send the ninjas out, even if it's not their own game.
Well,
right?
so here's the thing, right? And we don't know that Microsoft doesn't do that, but again, Sony would have more privy to that because they have the marketing deal there. And Pixel, you have to understand that Unreal or Unity or whatever, these are abstraction layers to get to what the hardware can do and what the development tools can do. So everyone can focus on that as abstraction layer as opposed to working closer to the metal. Now, in the back end, Unreal is going to have to utilize those tools, and they may utilize some of them better on PlayStation than they do on Xbox. And that's, sure, it's an Unreal issue. But again, you have the coalition who you are sending around to your internal studios to help them. You should have more coalition ninjas going around to show people how to make things work on your box. That being said, because again, it's the results and the things that people are talking about, but we would not have to have this conversation if Microsoft and Xbox actually had first-party games that proved what the console can do, right? So even if these third-party devs didn't want to utilize everything that was available to them, first-party should be showing us that, so we can say, look at what first-party did. Why you ain't
I love it when Everborn Saga starts sounding like me. I could just sit back here and enjoy myself. Thank you, sir. Keep going. Go ahead.
Well,
Go ahead.
So the point
Yeah.
is,
You know, much like
is,
how I've said in the past, it is time. They should like, and this is just an example. They should have made Hive Busters a separate standalone thing that was tuned very well to Series S and X. So even if you don't ever see that again from them for years, every time anyone clowns the Series S and goes, "Oh, that's a potato," you go, "Look there." That's how it should be done. Just like I said, that's the Surface example, right? They got sick and tired of people clowning Windows. They showed you the best of what it can do. And until they do that, right? Until they do first party, hey, this is what the box can do, even if it's a tech demo. Yeah, everybody keeps pointing to the Matrix demo. That's not their tech demo. That was a demo that was made that they helped make. It wasn't theirs to show everyone off, right? So,
by the way, I think we've made it. We have a sex bot in the.
I know, and I just deleted. Welcome, we're here now, right? We got sex bots. It's amazing.
Ow! Okay,
indeed. But Ness, continue sounding like me, sir. Go ahead.
So again, so like Sony has the marketing rights for this game, and I think they were privy to certain things, so we can't really blame that. However, as someone who is being asked to spend, and not asking me anything, but someone who's making the choice between spending $70 on this game, if I'm going to pay $70, I'm going to play it on my console of choice. I could buy it on the PlayStation. I don't want to, right? So when they update their crap to work as it is working everywhere or on the PlayStation, on the Xbox, because you're not asking for less money on the Xbox, right? So update your stuff and I will buy the game. But until then, I'm going to continue trying to pretend like Amicia shouldn't pick up a sword and stab people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they better hope that they get the necessary updates out for the Xbox before some of the other things start hitting.
And you know what? When it comes to that, though,
banished to I wanted to try that but didn't get to.
When it comes to that, though, I still right now contend and will continue to contend that if Microsoft does not push for this stuff to come out and to be clean, it's no one's fault but their own. You can't expect other developers who have other concerns in their pocket to then make your box shine. That is your responsibility to do. And if Sony can do it with their strapped wallets, so can you.
Right, and because you're already asking the developers to do the optimization required for the Series S, which they can do. It's more work, but they can absolutely do it. I'm not saying they can't, and I don't
give them a hand.
People crying, right?
Give them a hand. If you don't give them a hand, and then it doesn't come out the way you want it to, and then you hear your Series S is being called a potato in the community, whether it's true or not, you deserve that smoke because you let that happen.
Listen, I fundamentally believe that all these developers, or most of these developers, they're true artists and they have pride and they take pride in their work, right? And if they see high heights on what the first party can do, they're gonna have the competitive spirit and they're gonna be like, I want to match that or beat it.
Yeah.
But if you don't show them that, right? Sony's saying, look at Ratchet and Clank, try to beat that. Right. And then the developers are like, oh, look what's possible. We can do this for our game. We can take that thing for our game. And Microsoft, because they're slow on the first party stuff, and hopefully this changes in 2023. But again, apart from Forza, if Hellblade doesn't come out in 2023, I don't think there's anything that we've seen that is really going to push the envelope in terms of visual fidelity. But people don't give racing games credit because they're racing games for a weird reason. But like in terms of like character,
so you don't think and I'm gonna be like I'm being honest.
Starfield might be the biggest and best game of the year, but it is not gonna push the envelopes in terms of visual fidelity.
That's exactly what I was gonna ask. You don't think Starfield will have people going, wow, this is great?
No, but I do think that it'll have people going, wow, this is potentially the best game of the year. That those two things can be mutually exclusive. You don't have to be the best looking game to be the best game of the year. People are saying Elden Ring is the best game of the year, which I agree with. And that's not the best looker.
I think Vampire Survivors will give it a run for this money.
And, well,
talk about graphics.
Sure, right? So again, I don't think that's what Starfield is going for. And if you're looking at it for that, I think you kind of missed the plot. But apart from Forza Motorsport, Redfall looks really good, but it still doesn't seem like it's pushing the envelope in terms of visual fidelity. So if Hellblade's not coming out, 2023 may not show us what the box can do either.
Which would be, again, their smoke that they deserve. Like, we know, those of us that play in the hardware space, we know what this thing is capable of.
Pixel,
we know all the
Pixel,
interesting things that are there.
Pixel,
yeah.
I see you in the chat. I think you disagree with us.
Mm-hmm.
Art, do you have a minute? Can you join us?
If you want to, please. I will
back
send you
against these facts that I'm saying.
Oh boy, he's asking.
If you want to give us your alternative facts,
alternative facts, he said. Wow.
Get this man a link. Please come in and disabuse me of these notions, sir.
No, I will send him a DM. I'll send it to you in the DM, sir. You are welcome to join us and tell him he's ridiculous. I kind of agree with him. Oh, he says he doesn't disagree. Oh,
I'm
so
right again,
bitches. No, I do agree with you. I do agree, and we are, let us not be known that this is a show that's all Xbox all the time, pro this, pro that. My number one criticism of them, and it still is today, is they have great hardware. They always have had great hardware. But you can't say we have great hardware and that's a full stop, because you can have the best hammer in the world. Doesn't mean you make the best house. Show us what you can do with it. And until you show us, you can't expect that any other third party should put that responsibility on them to show us. No, right? PlayStation does a darn good job, whether it's their first party or it's their purchased marketing agreement for the third party, to 100% show like, yo, if you find this on this console, it's a PlayStation game, right? And by that nature, it's quality levels up, it's cinematic in a certain way. They do good work in that respect. And if Microsoft wants to get the same level of respect, whether it be for whatever thing that they see that, hey, our frame rates are more stable or whatever, it is up to Microsoft in the background to push to make that happen, and not just sit back and let those developers who have other priorities do that for them.
The reason we're having this conversation in the first place, and the reason we're not blaming the devs and we're blaming the box, is because Microsoft has not, by and large, there are some shining examples, like Hivebusters or
the whole Gears of War, of War like franchise itself should be a pedestal that's held up on and say, see, this is what Xbox can do. Because when it's running on all cylinders, that game franchise really does amazing work on the box. It just seems like it's few and far between, and they let it speak for itself and then move forward.
But again, so the reason we are not, I do think the focus should be on the devs, as some people say, but we are not putting the focus on the devs because Microsoft, Xbox, does not have several examples of them using their hardware to its
percent. Exactly. If you show me like what it could potentially look like from a first party perspective, then I have that. And then every time someone else doesn't measure up, I can use what you've established as the ground to be like, hey,
do that, right?
Exactly. But you, Microsoft, have not shown that to the public. We know it, we've seen it, and there's examples everywhere, but there are examples you have to look for. You can't point to a single game and go, see, that's the third party dream, the first party dream that everyone should be hitting. You can't point to that.
So in terms of parity in these CMA documents, are we
going to go there already?
No, we'll come back to that. But I see the comment. We'll talk about it.
No, but okay. So before we move quickly along, right, and I know we have a few other games we want to talk about as well. I did want to make mention quickly of what this Callisto Protocol launch did to the development team, to the owner of the IP. It looks like their stock took a huge dip because of the what do you call it, the review scores that came out, that clearly everyone was looking for high heights here. This was supposed to be the return to form, and it looks like not so much. What do you think?
What's funny? There was the rumor that Callisto Protocol is going to get delayed as well, and then they came out beating their chest. Nope. We're still coming out in December. Maybe they should have pushed it back a month or two.
Maybe. Oh, and before we continue,
they could have fixed these Xbox and PC issues.
True. Before we continue, real quick, Apex Predator, he sent it to me and he sent it to you. He has this question he wants us to answer. Do you think either Xbox or Sony having marketing should make the company with the marketing pay $70 and the other company pay $60?
No, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't. I don't think you can do that. I think you have to set price across the board, because you're sort of like,
wouldn't that alienate the other platforms?
Exactly, and it's going to make people not want your thing and put a bad taste in their mouth, and they're not going to trust you for future games. So I think it would be a bad decision whoever did it, right? Yeah. If Microsoft says, this game is like COD going forward is 60 for us, but 70 for PlayStation. Yep. I think that puts that would be a bad look in your customer's mouth, because it feels like you're penalizing them, and your relationship should be with the customer and not with the platform. Not the platform, yeah. So
that's right. That's when I think they would get that level of vitriol that they got from the Tomb Raider exclusivity, and then they would deserve it, right? Like specifically alienating one versus another. I think that'd be a one bridge too far, I suspect. That's why I don't think I'd ever see them do that. If they were to do that, they would do that across the board. Everyone would the price would increase everywhere, and everyone would get that smoke once, and then you'd move forward, I suspect. Yeah. But no, okay. Before we move forward here, there are a few other games that I kind of wanted to have chats about, because there's a very interesting.
By the way, because we all talk about Callisto Protocol performing better on PlayStation, but they have the marketing rights. Microsoft has the marketing rights for Plague's Tale, and where does it perform better?
See, now you're bringing Hargeet Shani into this right now. You're getting that's the secondary tinfoil hat possessor. Are we going down the? I'm
just saying, if we're gonna talk about that, then we should be fair, right?
It seems like it's heading down that parity clause path. Am I wrong here?
I wouldn't go that far, but I would say,
but it does walk that line, though, right?
It does not strain credulity to say, I have a closer relationship on this project via our marketing deal, so I get to see more of the game than the people who don't have the marketing deal, and I know if I can see problems sooner and help you correct them. By the way, I applied for a job at Microsoft doing just this, right? Okay. So sometime early in the year, where you basically work with the development teams, and you're basically like a partner manager. So you kind of help that, and there's a technical side of it, and there's the business side of it, and obviously you can understand what the difference in those two things are. And on the technical side, you say, well, here are our tools. How can we best help you utilize these tools? And if you're having any issues, please communicate them, and I will see if I can show you how to get around them or how to best utilize this thing, so you have a good experience developing on our platform. And so I would assume if you have a marketing deal that, there are more resources assigned to your project, and you can see those things and help them optimize better for your hardware. I'm going to assume that. I don't think that that's a weird thing to say. And I also don't think it's that bad of a thing, right? They got the marketing deal, so they got more devs in there, and that's it.
No, I do agree with you on that. Before we move on, because I want to talk a little bit Midnight Suns as well, but thank you guys so much for being here once again.
This game? Somebody tell me about this.
This is why I want to have this conversation. That's why I want to have this conversation. But thank you guys again. Hit that like button if you haven't done so already. I see I see harmonica in here. And if you don't know this man, he is part of the Xbox era crew. Thank you so much for being here. He blames me for his Vampire Survivor addiction. Bro, I have not got that monkey off my back either. It's stopping me from getting anything done.
Hey,
it is what it is.
Inferno, right? Microsoft is kind of on a hiring freeze right now, so that whole process is on hold, but it's ongoing. I'm still working on it.
Oh boy.
One day I might be one inside.
Yeah. One day I might be saying, unfortunately, when losing a co-host for reasons. We shall see.
Yes, but if you hear that, you'll know why.
You'll know why. Yes. But and thank you, Pixelbit G. You wanted to you brought this up, and I actually wanted to have a quick conversation as well about this. Let us have a quick conversation about Midnight Suns. Now, I haven't gotten a chance to play this yet. I'm assuming neither have you. Am I wrong, Everborn?
No, it wasn't. Okay. It's not even on my radar to play.
So the reason why I bring this up, and I think Michi Dies a Lot was also on here. Thank you so much for being here. She also asked, hey, are we going to talk about it? I want to have a quick conversation about this game because when it first announced, you and I spilled a lot of virtual ink, and you and I actually talked about this pretty frequently about how they were marketing this game and how I thought it was not the right way to market it, right? They were throwing around a lot of the whiz bang, the almost as if it was Marvel's Avengers kind of a thing, even though this was very much, I know it's being derivative, but people keep calling it the XCOM style game, right? Which think about it. It's very strategic in its gameplay loop, but every time you saw the actual game on display, they only seem to show you, and I'll show you a few highlights here, 28 minutes of footage from IGN here. Every time they showed this game, it looked to play very much like they were trying to show you only the really cool graphical output of it, rather than the actual moment to moment how the game looks and plays. I had a bad feeling about that. It made me feel like, they weren't confident in the game. They weren't confident that when people saw that moment to moment, that they themselves would not possibly like it. But now, seeing the game come out, it looks like the gamers have spoken, and this game is pretty darn good. I don't know if anybody in the chat if you guys have played this already or not. If you have, please don't be shy. Go ahead and throw some reviews in the chat. Let us know how you think.
How much of this game is just the story versus actually playing the XCOM part of it? Seems like it's really heavy on story. Am I correct in saying that?
And of course the man himself, Pixelbit G, says he's playing it and it's legit. I expected it to be legit, right? I did, and to the point where that's why I was a little upset about the way they were marketing it. Be confident in your game. Be confident in how you market it. This is this kind of game. Play it. Show us how it looks when in motion. But it seemed they were so busy showing us cutscenes instead of the actual gameplay of it. And that's the part that made me go, maybe the marketers don't understand what this game is, and as such, they don't want to be confident in their marketing of it. But I'm very happy to hear that it looks like, those who actually play the games, who actually spent time playing the game, had nothing but good things to say when they were done. So, I'm definitely putting this on my radar. I love XCOM style games. I've played almost every XCOM game out there, all their expansions. They are great. And I tend to love a game that you can, stop at any moment and continue when you yourself are ready to do so. Right. And this is definitely that, right? It's not you can't be paused, can't do this. This is a thinking person's game because they set you up and then it's turn-based and, you make decisions based on what units you have in front of you. In this case, these units being, awesome Marvel characters from the roster that So it's definitely seeming like the marketers were wrong in how they marketed it. Take a look at the moment to moment here there and the card stuff. Let me be clear. I have been Mr. Anti-card game for a long time, and that problem was fixed with Marvel Snap. Those who don't know Marvel Snap should definitely get to know Marvel Snap. It's an amazing, amazing game. And I personally think that has kind of got me more open to, hey, I see a card game now I'm not going to automatically go, this is crap because it's a card game, because Marvel's not fixed it for me.
Here's the thing. I feel like if you can play a turn-based RPG, you can play this just fine. And I see a lot of people praising Persona 5 and then saying, I can't mess with a card game. But yes, you can.
Well, Persona 5 doesn't really have cards, though. It's not really.
But I understand it. But it's still turn-based.
Sure. Yeah.
Cards are a UI. Right, yes. You're still selecting.
Yeah, cards are basically a UI. Yes, in these games. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. But no, so we don't have to spend too much time on this, since you and I haven't really played it, and I really want to play it. I want to put it on my list. I'm definitely going to start doing that.
Is there any sort of running around in the world and
to my understanding,
characters?
To my understanding, there's
like, is it an RPG? Is what I'm asking.
Pixel, please give us a bit more nuance on the moment-to-moment gameplay. To my understanding, there is a lot of upgrades and all of that. As far as like your exploration of the world, I think in between missions, there's like character development. Like, you hang out with the various characters, and based on that, you get a team going, and depending on if they trust you, there's a lot of that building up of your team and all of that.
Kay, take this for a minute. I'll be back in 5.
Okay, no worries, not a problem at all.
Deal with something downstairs real quick.
No problem. Go right ahead. So I will ask anybody who's in here. Oh, and I see Neo Mental. What's going on, good sir? It's been a minute. I hope everything's good with you. He is saying he's into Need for Speed Unbound, and it's effing ridiculous how many games dropped this week, but he wants to get to this as well. Bro, I know how you feel. I'm actually even in a worse position. Obviously, I was away for a while. I came back. I've been sick for a couple days, and I want to like get back into other games. But man, first and foremost, I can't drop that. The Vampire Survivors. It's kind of my crack. It's been very difficult to remove myself from it, and as such, and of course, when you're not feeling well, you're a little sick or whatnot. You don't have all of your faculties at your disposal. So having a game that's literally one thumbstick that still gives you what you need tends to win out over everything else. So it seems like Vampire Survivors continues to be my crack because I'm sick. Hopefully when I feel better, and I'm feeling a lot better today. When I'm feeling better, I will move on to other things. To that point, I will say a little oddly enough, I have not been able to Ragnarok because of that. Like I couldn't play it day one because I was out of the country, so I couldn't buy it and play it day one. And since I've returned and I'm like, okay, I can play it now, I'm like, well, I missed the day one hype of it all. Maybe I wait long enough until there's some kind of a deal and I finish all these other games that are on my backlog that I still want to play. But hey, what are you going to do? Anyway, so, okay, we will move along, and I will start I'll start the conversation on something else until Mr. Everborn Saga returns. But before I do that, I want everybody else to please, in the chat, I want to know, because as it stands right now, I'm back and we don't have that many, there's too many games that I have to play, but I don't know which one to drop to play next. Should it definitely be a Midnight Suns, or should I go back and play Ragnarok? I've been kind of back and forth on it. And some of the old games that I haven't had a chance to finish, of course, you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Sonic Frontiers and of the like. I'm still kind of plugging my way through that. So it's been a little difficult for me to decide whether I should just drop what I'm dropping and play what I'm playing, or if I should just wait. And of course, we have other contenders in here. Immortality. Yes. Dorian Gray, I played Immortality, and I know what Immortality does. I know what the loop that it's trying to go for, because I've played the other game. I think Her Story. I played Her Story from the same developer, so I know what to expect from there. The only thing with Immortality is once you kind of have that loop in your mind and you understand what to expect from that kind of game, it kind of unfolds relatively easy for me now. Like the first time I experienced something of its type, I was blown away by how amazing it was. But once you kind of get the loop and you kind of get the formula, it's like, oh, it's one of those. You know what I mean? Like that's the reason why I've been a little apprehensive on it. I do respect it, and I know, like, if you're much like Deathloop, if you're not expecting, if you don't know what to expect when you see it, you're just blown away by how amazing it is. And I definitely think Immortality is definitely in that conversation. You know, the fact that it's even on Game Pass now, it's amazing to me, because you know that game is very, 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 very good if you've never experienced a game like it before. But okay, so as far as Marvel's Midnight Suns is concerned, oh, well, hold on now, Slow-Mo. Okay. As the man likes to do, he thought Immortality is a bit overrated. It's all right, but like her story and telling lies and telling more lies. Yeah. Telling lies. I enjoyed telling lies. You know, I like scrubbing through the videos and this and that. But again, like I was saying, once you have that formula, it's like, oh, it's one of those. So it becomes more and more a repeat situation. And as soon as they do new things, you start identifying them quickly. It's almost like if you've seen the same movie multiple times, then all of a sudden the movie no longer speaks to you. It doesn't surprise you anymore. I think that seems to be more and more of what's going on here. But okay. So before we continue, and there will be ABK talk.
I'm back.
There will be, of course.
As soon as you mention ABK,
he just pops up. Yeah.
Yes.
Like, okay, so before there's ABK talk, and I know there will be, I kind of wanted to quickly have a bit of a conversation, and I'm happy you're here, Everborn. I wanted to have a quick conversation about, and I know people tend to be a little bit whenever this is brought up, but again, about the Game Awards and the Keeleys, if you
we were supposed to, I think we're just gonna have to do this offline. But we were supposed to do an Excel sheet this week where
we were supposed to. We're not gonna do that this week because we don't have enough time.
All right, so we don't get to say who was right and who was wrong.
This time
we did this last year with BitCloud Gaming.
True, we did.
Excel. I feel like we should do it. We should do it during the week. We can do it during the week. Maybe.
Okay.
No, I don't know.
Okay, we can talk about that. But the reason I bring this up right now is, once again, I saw some back and forth conversations about it, and I just want to hear your opinion on it. You know, as of course, the Game Awards announcement comes up, and yeah, all the games you thought would get it got it, right? But there are certain games that's my point. There are certain games that came out that didn't get it, right? Vampire Survivors being an example, right? Like, do you still think, because here's the reason why I bring this up, okay? 100%, and this is maybe self-serving on my part. I think, personally, the Game Awards should be exactly the way it is today. Don't change a thing. Cheesy ads, all the stuff. Change nothing except remove the awards part.
Well, sure, but I think you need a reason for it. I'm fine with the awards. Here's the thing: we are watching this show for the world premieres,
exactly,
and you cannot have which are effectively commercials.
Yes,
and you need an excuse to show the commercials.
Why? I mean, when they do Summer Game Fest, there's no BS awards added to it.
But Summer Game Fest is not good.
But neither is the awards. Neither is the Game Awards.
Yeah, but there's more meaningful news made during the award show.
No, but
the award show is fine. It's fine.
The meaningful games
matter.
The meaningful announcements can still be meaningful, and they can still be there, right? I honestly think, like, and my example here is what do you call it? Cult of the Lamb. My example here is Vampire Survivors, right? The minute you add the awards to the minute you add actual who can win something to this ceremony, all of a sudden then there's contention, right? And rightfully so.
Yeah.
But if you remove that part from the equation, keep everything the same, it seems that it would solve the problem.
No. You need winners and losers in life. And I'm like, we can talk,
but these are honest winners.
Okay,
honest losers.
Sure. But how many times have people won Grammys that you didn't agree with, right? Like Macklemore won Best Rapper.
Well, but
right?
look.
Hold
but
on
you can make an honest argument about that.
Let me. No, you can't. You cannot make an honest argument about that. The point is that if what you're talking about basically negates the need for any award show in anything because people don't agree,
no.
because
That's not why I'm
sometimes it
saying.
seems like
That's
it's
not
fixed.
why I'm saying
So
it. That's not why. No. I'm not saying it for that
I'm
reason.
saying you don't have to like the outcome of the awards, but we cannot say get rid of the award,
No,
or at least I don't agree, because if you're going to do that, let me finish the thought. If you're going to do that, you're on a slippery slope of saying, well, the Keeleys or the Game Awards are compromised. Get rid of the awards and just show us the commercials. But I could say the same thing about the Grammys and the Oscars, and we know people have been buying Golden Globes since the Golden Globes started. So why don't we just get rid of all award shows, because they're all ultimately pointless anyway, and they don't change your experience of the game or the music or the TV show. So just get rid of it and let's just be there for trailers.
It is not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that. That's not my. You're heading down an extreme path. I'm not saying that.
You brought
the reason why, and I hear you. I 100% agree with you on the other award shows also have things you don't agree with. All that is said and all that is valid, right? That's not why I'm specifically saying what I'm saying here. Okay, all those other shows contend with awards, right? The Grammys aren't there just to show you performances. Performances are part of it, but that's not their main focus, and we all know that, right? The Grammys are there to hand you the awards.
Commercials.
Sure.
That's and this is ultimately what you're saying. You're saying let's get rid of the Super Bowl. But let's get rid of the Grammys and just watch the commercials.
No, because the Super Bowl, they cut away from the game to show you the commercial. The Grammys, they stop the programming so that you can watch commercials in between those programs. The Game Awards is unique in that the commercials are in the show. They are not something you watch and then, let's go show you a Super Bowl ad. Let's stop and show you something else here. Unlike the others, let me make my point, please. Unlike the other shows that this is compared to, those other shows have other purposes for being there, and then those even though you and I both know that the marketers are there to show you that commercial, but the key is to not let you know that that's the main method. They're showing you, look at this left hand while we show you something on the right hand. The Keeley's show is specifically about the commercials in the show. Not, the award is not now pausing for a moment so that we can take an ad from our sponsor. No, the whole thing is a sponsor. The whole thing is the ad. So remove the course of contention and let's just continue down the path that we always have been, and we'll be happy about it. The other shows that you're describing, all of them lie to you by saying, we're here for this, and then they pause to show you the ad and then come back to the show. This is the show, is the ad. It's a different paradigm, right? It's a very different paradigm. And because of that, you can separate the honor and the award stuff from the other stuff, and it would still be fine, because unlike those other shows, unlike the Grammys, right? The Grammys aren't saying, here's a performance from I don't know, Beyonce, and in between that, here's a quick award. No, the priority isn't Beyonce there. The priority is the awards.
Many awards for the Grammys and the Golden Globes and the Oscars that are given off screen during commercials.
Sure, and those are also to be given smoke to 100%. Right, and every time they do that, they get the same righteous smoke that's happening here. With
but then the show would be 5 hours. So the thing is this. I understand what you're saying.
And I appreciate you, Lucius Augustus.
I think
stand on that square with me, good sir.
I think it is a fundamental issues with award shows and caring about that recognition. And Jeff Keighley, I see that iMill asked if he plays on Xbox or PlayStation. I don't think that matters.
It doesn't.
And I'll tell you why it doesn't matter, because he's not the one deciding who gets what reward. If it is biased, and I'm not saying that it is or isn't biased, it probably is. It is because that's where the industry is.
That's right.
Right.
And that's the reason why you
look
see
at
all
when
of
multi-platform games come out. Where are they most reviewed?
Exactly.
Right.
That's why
that is a bias of the industry. So we can't say, he's corrupt or he's this or
it's not his fault. It's just built that way. No argument for me. 100%. No argument. And that I'm actually saying this to help Jeff. Because I like his show. I met him at the Comic-Con.
I think having a Game of the Year awards is important. I think it's important. I think they should still do it.
Sure, but the minute you say you're having a Game of the Year award, and then like games of the year that many in the gaming industry like get upset about because it wasn't even mentioned.
So let them be upset. Why are people so afraid to be upset these days? Stay mad. It's fine. It builds character.
You see,
right?
You hear Mr. Everborn Saga now, right?
Does not.
But the minute they stick an eye, they stick a finger in Sony's eye, he'll be the man in Sonic's eye, I should say. He'll be the one coming out here.
They already
completely on the opposite side of this argument.
Sonic is not nominated in the score and music category. That has
the music category is a problem.
But it's not even close with Sonic Frontiers. Right? I understand the score at the opening of Elden Ring is amazing, but if you look at all the music you get from Sonic Frontiers, it is the clear winner as opposed to any other category. It should have been there, but it's easy to crap on Sonic. So whatever.
Oh wow. So I think once again, as he does, Mr. Slow-Mo Backslap's comment will move us quickly along. Because, boy, I think I have put him in a very bad position. I'm sorry, sir. He says he feels sick to his stomach, and it's not because he still has the flu. It's because he agrees with Mr. Everborn.
Yes.
Broken clocks, baby. That's all I'll say. Broken clocks. But you know what? Let's get to the story. Let's get to the main meat potatoes of the matter, because I know Everborn wants to fill my head with what's going on, what's new.
Yes, I want to fill your head with Microsoft Activision propaganda.
Come on, man, hit me with it. What is so? Yes, there's a lot of back and forth, as there have been for quite some time now. You know, now we see what we're seeing that March, April, May, March. That time frame is when you think we'll see some solidified final decisions made.
I think that's when the deal closes, end of March. And I know people have until April, but they don't have to go that long.
Sure.
Right?
Sure. So go ahead. Hit me with the latest. What's going on?
So here's the thing. I've been saying this all week, but since we've got a larger audience here, you can expect that the news regarding this, if you were sick of it, you're going to be sick to your stomach, because the news is going to start coming a lot more frequently now, because a lot of these cases are winding up. Even the CMA, who's the biggest wild card here, which I'll explain in a moment, their preliminary findings are going to be published in January. And then Microsoft has 2 months until the end of February, or not even, end of February, I think, but they extended it a few days. So middle of March to work something out with them based on their findings, provided they don't want to outright bar the deal. And we've also seen that, and I don't know if you guys remember this, New Zealand has delayed. We're going to get New Zealand's decision in like any week now, because they had delayed their decision until the end of November. And then November has passed and we haven't heard anything. So they've probably made it and not published it yet. So we'll hear about New Zealand soon. Australia delayed their findings till the end, until pending more information be provided. And that was back in September. So I'm going to assume they'll have that information soon. We see that Serbia has become the third to complete their investigation and found that no concessions were needed. And for anyone counting, all of the people who have completed their in-depth review of this deal have found that the deal can close with no concessions. Everyone else is still in the middle of their investigation, but everyone who has completed their due diligence has not found an SLC or even required a concession. I am not.
That is a very interesting. It's a very interesting like place where it's seeming to fall. It continues to, every time a domino drops, like when they make their final decision, it always goes in Microsoft's way, or they haven't made a decision yet.
Right. So I know we're like, oh, but you know, the EU and the UK and the FTC and they haven't made their decision yet, and it's all hot and bothered. but they're still in the middle of it, and they're still investigating, and they're still taking in more data. I'm saying the people who have taken in all of the data that they wanted have found no concessions were required.
No concessions are necessary.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think it's at the very least worth noting, not saying it's an indicator of what the FTC or whoever else should do. That being said, we got to see this last week, Sony's and Microsoft's. And we talked about Sony's response, but I did a little bit, and their 22-page response to the CMA's phase 1 findings. And you have to bear in mind, everything that came out is before Sony was offered the 10-year deal, which they, at the time of the reporting, they had not commented on. However, Seeking Alpha reported via Deal Reporter that last weekend, while we were talking about this, Sony and Microsoft had in-person meetings to discuss the terms of the Call of Duty offer. We don't know what the outcome is, but what you're saying, met and they are speaking.
So what you're saying is the 300, the king of 300 met with the Prince of Persia to sit down and have conversations about fealty. That's literally
the question is, who is the Prince of Persia and who is Leonidas?
And who's Leonidas?
Who's going to end up with the arrows in him at the end? But anyway, so the thing is, and there's been a lot more reporting on this week because, as I said, the reporting is going to get hot and heavy.
Yep.
So I see what you said, Slow-Mo. Microsoft has a higher GDP than the nations who approved the deal so far. I understand that. I am just saying the people who have looked at... Listen, we can talk about these, Kate. If you want to take it to that road, remember, we are in phase 2. These investigations are not a fait accompli, as people have been saying, right? They're not pre-decided.
And in phase 2, you actually have to have... Like, it's not about feeling, it's not about sentiment, it's about raw numbers, raw data that can prove where you think this is going.
Right.
It's a higher barrier than I feel this is bad, or I feel that,
However you feel about this deal and however you feel about consolidation, I want you to park that to the side and ask yourself a real question without your blinders on, based on your preference of what you think should happen. Forget about your counsel preference. I mean, your position on consolidation or whatever.
Yep.
Do you actually believe Sony, the maker of God of War and Spider-Man and Last of Us and Ghost of Tsushima and Uncharted, do you believe that Sony, while being offered 10 years of Call of Duty and who just bought Bungie and several other studios, will not be able to compete in the face of this deal?
There you go. Yeah.
If you don't believe that, and you're an outsider looking in, then you don't believe that there's a reason the deal should be blocked. And these regulators are going to have to look at that. And they're going to have to credibly believe that Microsoft owning Call of Duty could foreclose Sony. This is not about whether they deserve their number one market position. This is not about, we have PlayStations in our houses, so that's what we want to protect. They have to look at numbers, and there are certain rubrics that they have to prove. They have to say, do you hold this percentage of this market, right?
So and just to the point of the conversation, Slow-Mo Backslap adds, he's not saying any of that. He's just saying these countries that have already completed their investigations are only because their markets are tiny. And although I agree with you, Slow, I would argue that with tinier markets, you would then be a bit more scrutinizing with it, because you want to bolster, you want to bolster the market, be vibrant in such a small market, right? Big markets tend to have a lot more players in it.
Maybe not, because they're going to have smaller budgets to do these.
Sure, exactly. So I'm just saying, and while I agree with what Slow-Mo's saying, and I understand what he's saying as well, there is an argument to be made that just because they're tiny doesn't automatically mean that they will automatically go for Microsoft. That could also be an argument to be a bit difficult with them, because you don't want that market to get saturated by the big monster in the room, since you have a fledgling market. But that's neither here nor there. Please continue.
So my point is, The Economist has just come out in favor of the deal, saying that it is the deal not going through is just as likely to harm consumers as it actually going through.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And The Economist is a very well researched thing. I mean, it requires a subscription to read it, but you can get the article. I shared it on my timeline, so you can find the article, find a way to read it. You should pay them, maybe, but
you should pay for your articles. But if you really don't want to, there are wonderful little shortcuts and little plugins to browsers that you can add that gets rid of all
right, we're not talking about that, though.
Continue.
Anyway, the point is, they've come out in favor of it. Bloomberg has said that a deal is imminent, or haven't said that. They've kind of suggested a deal could be imminent, and that the 10 years may be enough for the EU. We know that Microsoft is now sitting down with Sony. Now, the interesting thing to me here is, in reading through Microsoft's response to the CMA, which compared to Sony's 22-page document, this is a 111-page document. And you know what it's filled with, Kay Asante? Data, figure, numbers.
Ooh. Nothing wakes me up in the morning like data, figures, and numbers.
There's so many charts. There's all these things that they point out, and stuff. And the interesting thing about it, and I don't know how much you care about these things, is that they point out the CMA's own laws, in which they point out that in order to prove a substantial lessening of competition, you need to meet a certain threshold market share wise. And if you are looking at Microsoft plus Activision as a publisher, they would only be 10 to 20% of the market in terms of publishing on console.
Absolutely.
If you and again, it's all going to depend on how much you slice these markets down, but you cannot slice down the cloud market. Why? Because the cloud is not a market, not yet.
Yep, absolutely.
And it is only it is only served as a supplemental access point to contents of the actual market. Right? So if you are saying Microsoft plus Activision is less than 30% market share, legally, you cannot say that there's an SLC. Now, they can try to find a way. This is why they want to cut out, if in the console market, they want to cut out Nintendo, right? Because Nintendo shuts that argument down. But also they point out what you may say, well, look at what the FTC is doing with Sony and that fitness app, right?
Oh yeah,
I think it's Within, right? And look at what the CMA did with Giphy, and Microsoft points out what they did with Giphy and why that is. Facebook, with all their properties, they account for 60% of social media traffic. They are already the dominant player.
Yeah, they own it. They own it.
Magnitudes. Now, in terms of what Giphy does, there are only 3 major players in that space of providing GIFs to phones and social media sites, and Giphy's number 1. So this is the number 1 player in social media buying the number 1 purveyor or provider of GIFs. Right?
It's kind of like what Disney did to Fox,
which was also allowed, but we'll leave that alone.
But that's the point, and that was at a higher level, right? At a higher level of egregiousness, and that went fine.
So what they also and then if we look at what the FTC is doing within, this is not in the document, but you can extrapolate this. Again, Facebook, dominant social media platform. They're also the dominant VR player in terms of market share and sales. May not be where all the action is happening, but you want to talk about a VR platform, it is Oculus, right?
True, yeah.
So this is Oculus in the VR space buying the number one weird maker of VR fitness. That is not the same
reason.
thing.
Well, and just a quick point to your point. The reason why, although I still think it was a little heavy-handed what they did with Oculus, I see what they did and I can acknowledge what they did, because if you are in the VR space, you will know that the fitness part of VR came out of nowhere and really hit those companies across the head with something that they didn't even know was there. These companies, the VR solutions, the fitness solutions in VR kind of stood up as a need that consumers wanted, and at the time, developers and actual platform holders weren't fulfilling it. Like, they were not fulfilling it at all. So all of a sudden, you turn around and there's this huge contingent of fitness focused in VR, which, let's be honest, the VR itself is a very nascent, very small market, right? So then you turn around and the hugest conglomerate within that market, which being Oculus, wants to then buy up the number one VR purveyor, the number one fitness purveyor in that industry. You know, to me, even though yes, the method they used was heavy-handed, and there's an argument to be made, I see in that specific instance that was the regulatory bodies actually seeing what's going on. Yeah, no, right? the two things are not the same, but they at least saw what was going on. And in that instance, them extrapolating the tea leaves further out and saying, hey, you could potentially like own a market that hasn't started yet. There's an argument to be made there, right? But that requires deep knowledge of the environment that you're talking about. And in the VR context, yeah, it's shaky waters, but it makes more sense there, right? Now, it does make more sense there.
Right. Now, one thing to consider, right, with the FTC, which we, a lot of us expect or hope that it goes through. Mm-hmm. I want to caution everyone here before saying the FTC is a slam dunk. And I know Pachter says, they'll get destroyed in court.
What does Pachter know? What does he know that we don't know?
There was
talking about?
Speaking of what you're talking about, right? Yes, CNBC reported that. Forget about Pachter, and
they clowned him hilariously on that.
They did. However, Webbush is not going to recommend. Webbush recommended Activision as a buy, and it has since gone up 1 to 2%.
They know what they're doing.
So Webbush is not going to make that recommend unless whatever Pachter knew was properly sourced.
Yep.
Right. And remember, these people can talk to people, inside or whatever. So I don't think you're going to risk your financial well-standing reputation just because Pachter has a cockamamie idea.
Yeah. And let's be clear here. Pachter has been around this industry and has been saying the stuff that he says, and people have been clowning him for a while. And he's still a proud fellow at Webbush. They would not clown him if they wouldn't keep him there if he didn't know what he was talking about.
Right. And so we can. You may say you don't want to listen to him as bets on where the industry is going to be 10 years from now.
Sure.
But in terms of a financial bet that they recommend to buy the stock, I think it's significant.
That is a very big eye-raising moment.
Right.
Absolutely.
So between that and between the economists, the fact that you guys are still arguing about Brazil in the chat is hilarious to me. But the thing is, another interesting point, and I want everybody to pay attention to this, right? Where if you think the US should be a slam dunk, remember, regulators are looking at these markets locally, right? So when we hear about Brazil and we hear about the EU and we hear about the UK, we can laugh and we say it's a joke because Sony is outselling PlayStation 3-1 in those markets. You know where that's not the case? The US,
yeah. Here it's tight as nails.
It is very close. So Microsoft in the US specific market, North America really, which is their strongest market, the competition is a lot closer, which is where Sony One has not raised the price on their consoles. Why? Because the competition was stiffer. So if Microsoft holds a larger position in the market here, And Activision, an American company, and Americans love shooting up stuff. Activision is also super strong here in terms of being a publisher, right? Because we love all this military stuff. It could be a much larger percentage of the US market, which actually could raise those bells of thresholds that you have to meet for a substantial lessening of competition. And that could be why the FTC, could go either way, right?
Yeah, just you're not wrong.
Keep in mind that these markets are local, and in the US, they're going to be looking at the US market, not Microsoft's global position.
Although my pushback to that point, which you make that I agree with, although my little pushback to that is the only differences there, and this is all inferences, and we're all just kind of reading the tea leaves, as it were, right now. But the only thing where I see a little difference there is you're talking about an American-owned company that's being regulated by an American regulator. That changes the equation just a slight bit, because it's true that every single regulatory body is focused on their local constituency, if you will, that they have to make sure they're adhering to, and making sure that they're making sure that the whoever it is that's seeking to purchase, that they're not going to do it against the consumer base, right? America being included in that. But specifically in America, the differences compared to the UK, the CMA, all the others, is you have a unique perspective on Microsoft, because Microsoft is an American company, right? They have global reach, true, but they're an American company. So I say that to say there is a school of thought that could suggest that when the FTC looks at Microsoft, they will look at them holistically all around the world, because you are our company, and how are you representing yourself and in the purpose of business. So
you're saying U.S. company wants to buy U.S. company, and Japanese company is complaining about it. So America first? Is that what we're saying? Like, what's going on?
I'm not necessarily saying America first.
You're not saying it.
No, I'm saying that all these other regulators have been lockstep in, well, we only care about what happens to our consumers. We don't care what Brazil said. This is for the EU. We don't care what this other company said. This is for the UK or whatever. America has a different perch here, because this is not a UK company that's seeming to buy something here, which is how it's been in every other regulatory market except for here. This is a company by America for America. Yes, they're speaking, they touch everywhere else, right? And because of that, each of those other places get a chance to weigh in. But America has an oversized interest here, because you're an American company. That may change things a bit, I suspect. Yeah. But we'll see where that goes. You could be right. They could just say, okay, we're focused on our North American, specifically our American consumers, and be done with it. But they also have the right to say, look, you represent, you're an American company, out there doing business representing us. We want to make sure your business is done in a non-untoward kind of way. I'm looking forward, very interested to see, how they choose to go about it.
Yeah, I have a hard stop at 12:30.
Okay, yeah, no worries. And
my dogs have an appointment to get groomed.
No worries, and we will convene this episode on that.
Wait a minute, I have some more points.
Please go ahead.
We don't have a lot of outros to do, right? There's only
no. We don't have a lot of outros to do. I just have one story that I want people to read as homework, but that'll come after. Go ahead.
Yes, we'll do that in the outro. So, yes. So the thing is, the question is, if Sony and Microsoft are meeting as we speak, and I do think that the chess move, and Slomo and I have talked about this in the DMs, it's a chess move on both people's part with this 10-year offer, because Sony, if you are actually facing insolvency because of this deal, and now you're offered 10 years, but you're snubbing your nose at it, don't regulators of sound mind and body have
insolvency, though? Are they really facing insolvency?
But that's the point. That's the point. Because you're saying like this deal would ruin the entire industry and you won't be able to compete, and they just offered it to you for 10 years and you're like, yeah, I'll take my chances. That means you're not that worried about like what could happen, right?
That's
so,
like
and I think
that's like
and
a
I think
homeless person with a funny sign. You're just not that homeless. You're not that serious.
Like you're homeless and telling me you're having hard times, and you can't work, but you're doing backflips.
But you're doing
right?
backflips and have a funny sign.
Like at least not have a leg or something, right?
Play the part better.
At least keep your baby out in the cold.
Oh no!
So I feel sorry for you, right? You look healthy. I'm not giving you any money. Anyway, the point is, that got dark.
Yes, it did.
The point is, and then on Sony's part,
mm-hmm.
they're playing this game where we don't approve, but you've already made this promise publicly to regulators. And even if we don't accept it until the regulators say we have to accept it, you already made the promise. Are you going to make yourself out to be a liar?
Of course.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Right.
Of course
so we don't have to say crap right now. Now, I do think, however, Microsoft's entire strategy, Jesus Christ, they're still talking about Brazil. The Microsoft strategy from the beginning of this thing is to find the biggest naysayers and bring them in.
And bring them to heel, basically.
Right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
To get them into support. So they say, we want this. What do you want? Let's see how we can make it happen. So Sony's worried about losing COD. They say, we're going to give it to you for 10 years. But what else are they talking about? Now, I think personally that COD not coming to Game Pass is a non-starter. Microsoft will laugh them out of their office and take them to court. And by the way, Bloomberg has reported that Microsoft, we know that the Activision lawyer last week said we will fight this thing in court.
We out
Microsoft,
here. That's right.
Microsoft's lawyers have now said we're going to work with regulators, but we will go to court if we need to.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. It will get ugly. But instead of it getting ugly, Microsoft is negotiating with Sony now to say, listen, you are the biggest detractor. You are literally the reason all these regulators are giving us a hard time because they're taking
So they're basically saying, we know you lying, but we're going to take you at your word and say COD is the only thing because you say so. So what can we do to get it not to be a problem anymore? Which, if it is a real issue, there's some way at some point where they can go, okay, now you've said what we wanted to hear and we're happy. And I have a feeling that thing that they'll say to make that Microsoft will say to make Sony happy would be, we're not putting it on Game Pass. And
but that's not, that's what I'm saying. But I think they're saying, don't take Game Pass out your mouth.
Yeah, because it's a foregone conclusion. If that's what you don't want, then let's fight.
Tell us what you want that's not Game Pass.
That's genuine. That's not Game Pass. Yeah.
So the thing is, I think what Sony is after, and they knew this from the beginning, right? Let's secure the game for as long as we can, as well as we know what the benefits of this marketing deal have done for us. This is why we're running around the world snitching, right?
That's the thing they can't talk about, but it's what matters more than even Call of Duty itself.
Sure. So it's the 10-year offer, but right now, you can barely mention Xbox in a COD commercial, and I think Sony still wants to be mentioned at least alongside Xbox in those commercials, so Xbox is not looked at by the casuals as the exclusive place to get it.
Yeah,
they want you to say,
can you control that narrative?
When you advertise this thing, we want you to say also on PlayStation.
Yeah, no.
And I think that's what they're working out right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no.
And does Microsoft agree to that if Sony will say, okay, we accepted this deal? Because if Sony accepts the 10-year deal, it's a tacit approval of it.
So right? Apache jumped in. Welcome, sir. Asking, do we have any games to talk about, like Callisto Protocol? We have gone at length about.
Listen to the first 90 minutes of the show, sir.
Yeah, we were really big on Callisto and a few others. So go ahead and check it out, and also Midnight Suns. So go ahead and check it out. We appreciate you for being here. Thank you, man. Go ahead, man.
I don't know how I feel about that comment. I mean, thank you for being here.
I
feel like there was some shade in there.
Hey, man, maybe the man hasn't scrubbed through. It's
like
he
thought it was a gotcha moment, but we do appreciate
it's all
you
good.
here.
We appreciate being here. Maybe he didn't see the first part of the show. It's all good. Come on now.
You don't know what you don't know.
You don't know. You know better. You do better. You know what I'm
saying? So no, I do think. And I'm sorry. I apologize. This stuff is super interesting to me, and I followed the Disney Fox deal just as closely.
Oh yeah, and that's why we appreciate you, sir. You can keep giving us the balls.
And I hate Disney, so it's not about like, oh, I'm an Xbox fan. Like
hate Disney.
They're terrible. But anyway,
wow. That's
conversation for another day.
That is definitely an on the real topic we got to go to at some point.
Yeah, I think they've got to work that out. Now, there's another thing where there's this lawsuit saying Microsoft took advantage of the lawsuits and all the negativity that was going on around Activision to lowball the price.
Yeah.
And I think it's an interesting point to make, to say that if this deal goes through, the people involved in the management at Activision Blizzard won't face justice. And my question to that is how? If they've done something like illegal, they are still liable. And if it's one of those things where it's like it's not technically illegal, but they allowed this stuff to go on, so it's untoward.
Yeah.
If the deal doesn't go through, they will continue to be in charge.
Exactly. I honestly think that it's a little more column B. People know that like the things they've done skirt the line of legality, and clearly, they've been able to get away with it. I mean,
some of them they've gone over the line. If you ask,
over the line, that's right. And those are being persecuted, and people are being actually called to the carpet for it. But it feels like, and I could be wrong, but based on what I'm like, the feeling I'm getting in the zeitgeist, it seems like, Bobby K is going to get away with this untoward behavior. Not only is he going to get away with it, he's going to have a golden parachute. Like, that was already built into the cake.
He already owns a certain percentage of the company. You can't take that away from him.
There's just nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. And if he is actually exposed, like, legally and culpable for these things, then you would sue him anyway for that percentage of it.
Yeah,
this deal does not give him anything
that.
But that has nothing to do with it. If you did something, you can still sue him. Anyway, so there's that aspect of it. But if you don't like hearing about this news, I kind of feel sorry for you for the next 3 months or so, because all these regulators, and there are 16, there are 13 left to approve. 3 have already approved it. All their investigations are winding down within the next 4 months, and you're going to hear news after news.
Yeah, I have a feeling, and you tell me if I'm wrong here, Everborn. I have a feeling that as this all comes to a head, one will feed the other. As they're all drawing closer and closer to the end result, you'll start hearing like conversations within the FTC's regulatory
we may hear something from the FTC in like the next 2 weeks.
My point. You'll hear those FTC regulatory arguments, but then they will feed, the CMA said this. Well, this other regulatory body said that, because all their data is coming out at the same time. But
again, according to Bloomberg, Microsoft is preparing an official concession for the EU. And
I think they're prepared for all of that. Yes.
Right. But what I'm saying is they're doing that to get an early approval so they don't have to go to April. If the EU approves it early, right? And again, the EU has the weakest arguments against this, right? Their argument is that they're going to use Call of Duty to force people into the Windows platform and foreclose other operating system makers.
Absolutely hilarious, their argument.
Call of Duty is not available on Linux today, and never
It's almost like we need an argument. Give us an argument. Oh,
right?
That's an argument. Is it a good one? It doesn't matter anyway. Right. Throw that one out there.
But furthermore, there's a thing called Proton, and I know you said there's anti-cheat software that doesn't allow you to run.
But that's a thing of experience and growth. Yeah,
could not do that if they tried, right? And they pointed out that their resellers are the ones who sell the operating system, and it's not based on, what business you're in. So it won't matter if you're not in, like, they can't charge you more if you're Sony or if you're in the gaming business. So it's not a thing. So based on the way their argument is, that gets thrown out. Again, cloud is not a market, not yet anyway. And even if it were cloud, people on COD would not play that. And Activision has documents to prove that up. They've done those tests. And they've also pointed out that NVIDIA tried to put Call of Duty in their cloud service. And guess what? That was without Activision's knowledge, and Activision made them stop it. And guess what? They grew after that.
Everybody stopped.
Literally losing it from their cloud platform. So again,
absolutely.
Again, none of these make sense except for the Sony thing, which also doesn't make sense, but fine. Let's not fight about it. Here's 10 years, right? So if the EU approves that, that one actually does. Unlike what Slow-Mo calls the irrelevant countries, which some people will be in your DMs for that.
Oh, sir. Bro, you already gonna get murked for that one,
right? So unlike those, the EU approving it will have weight, and I think it will be weighted by the CMA and the FTC, and the FTC will say something today. And the question is, this is the FTC who literally hates Amazon, and I'm not saying that facetiously. I'm saying Lena Khan literally wrote her thesis paper on how Amazon is bad for capitalism.
Yep.
And they did not. They got embarrassed by Amazon, but they just let the clock run out because they did not have a winning case to take them to court. So if they know they don't have a winning case, are they really, if Microsoft is offering them concessions so that they can have a win, are they actually going to go to court against Microsoft? I don't know. Right? Oh, look at him backtracking now.
Oh, yeah, look at
him. No, buddy. No, sir.
You've already stepped in that mud.
You already said it.
It's already on your shoe, my friend.
So I think the FTC can be reasoned with, and maybe the CMA is a wild card, but it will go a long way if they can work out something with the EU early. But again, we are going to be hearing about this a lot in the coming months.
You don't like it? What we'll do for you here on this channel, I suspect, Everborn, we'll keep it as fresh as we possibly can, have all these nuanced takes as Everborn tends to. Get your tinfoil hats ready, but boy, it's not going to end.
Yes, and I think it is a W for us, as long who cares about exclusivity, at least on COD. I do think Diablo and these other things should go exclusive, but COD, keep it multi-platform. As long as we get it in Game Pass, I think everybody wins. So except for Sony, on that. But well, not Sony. Sony wins because they have it there. Everybody wins except for the foolish people that signed up for PlayStation Plus Extra. Okay, that's it. That's all I got.
Stop it.
I gotta go.
Well, hold on. Let's get there. Before we hit our outro, I have a bit of homework I want everyone to read. If you saw the Google Doodle a couple days ago, it was for Jerry Lawson.
About Jerry Lawson, yeah.
It's about Jerry Lawson. Those who do not know who Jerry Lawson is, I will put this specific Hack-A-Day article in the show notes. Want you to read it. It gives you like a nice broad strokes of what the man did, who he was, what he accomplished. He is the grandfather. He's the father of the video game cartridge.
Which means any day now, Kanye is going to come out and say the Nazis actually created.
Oh, stop it! Why is it that every time a nice black man does something good, we have to sully his memory by talking about Kanye? Get out of here with all that.
I'm just saying, a black man created the microphone. Kanye literally on Alex Jones.
I know. I saw
gave the Nazis credit for creating the microphone.
But see, the question
while Alex Jones was playing the curb stomp scene in American History X.
My question is, why do we give certain people more ability to speak on these things than they deserve? There are some people that come out here and say, well, you bought this game. You bought that game. It's not to be credited for you. That has nothing to do with. We give people credit where they don't deserve. For my gamers, you know what I'm talking about. We're gonna move quickly along.
I'm getting the dreaded call from the missus, sir. I gotta go.
All right. Well, all right. Let us wind down this show and head to our outros. For those who haven't read or know anything about Jerry Lawson's story, please do yourself a favor. Check it out. This is gaming history that we should all know. And he got a Google Doodle, and it was a really cool one. And I feel the need that people should be spending a lot more time reading up on this. So thank you guys so much for checking this out. As you can see, we're back. We're trying to come back in a more full force kind of way. Little by little, you're going to start seeing a lot more stuff from us. Mr. Everborn Saga, I know that you have to run quickly. Is there anything anywhere that people can find you this week?
Everborn Saga everywhere except Hive, because they just took all our information and shut the service down, which is hilarious. But Xbox,
are you serious?
Yeah, they had to shut down for a few days. They said for all the whatever. Look it up. It's crazy.
Fantastic.
But Everborn
amazing.
Saga everywhere. Go to everbornsaga.com. We got a lot of stuff, and I just commissioned an art piece with a Sonic Everborn crossover. It's going to be so good.
Oh my god!
It's from the guy who does all our cover art.
Oh no!
We'll get that in a couple of weeks. You'll see it. It's great.
Slow-mo. We need Everborn. We need the Sonic being smacked the heck out by the slow-mo backslap. Come on, we need that icon.
Right.
Come on.
I mean, Sonic is smacking that
because
you know that's
going to happen during Christmas time. It's okay.
To go. Gotta go, folks.
All right, brother.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much for being here. This has been a great show. Thank you guys so much for continuing to support us, continuing to rock with us, even when we are, doing a little bit of a hodgepodge type of show. We appreciate you guys for continuing to watch. And of course, it being a cool Saturday, it means you have so many options to still check out. I thought I saw, Chatter Days is about to get started. So go check out Mr. Boomstick. I know that the Living Split Screen guys are still going. Head down there, let them know we just finished up, and we're going to be, I myself will be in there chatting a few minutes as well. Until we speak again next week, it's been awesome chatting with you guys. We'll have another conversation next week. Until then, keep it gaming and have a good one. Read that Jerry Lawson article. Till next week.